Welcome to Armchair Expert. It's an exciting week. It's the beginning of Superman week.
This is so exciting. I love a week. I love when we do a theme.
Yes. Dun, 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 dun. And to kick that week off, we have a returning guest, someone I've pursued passionately for a friendship, as you'll learn, unrequited. Still am in love with him. That's how charming he is.
How could you not be?
What a smoke show. Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is a Golden Globe nominated actor. The Great Warm Bodies, About a Boy, The Order. Now, Superman in theaters, July 11th. I mean, go check it out.
Check it out.
Please enjoy Nicholas Hoult. We are supported by Audible. Thanks to Audible for being the presenting sponsor of today's episode. We could all use an escape these days, and the best way to do it, Audible. With over 1 million titles in their selection, there's more to imagine with Audible.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Let's talk immediately about this gorgeous hairdo.
Yeah.
Because it really answers the question I've always had, like, what if we were peers in the same age and we grew up together?
Yeah.
And I think this would have been your look in junior high in the 80s. This is
You know
very
what?
skaters.
I've never bleached my hair before. This is a first.
How are
what do
you
you
liking
think?
it?
I'm kind of into it.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed my personality yet, but I'm gradually
You're
migrating
picking up some
into
traits.
You're having more fun.
Yay! Oh yeah, of
Well,
course. That was the first thing.
That's right out of the gate.
I walked out of the salon and I threw those brunette shackles away, and here I am.
All of a sudden you realize, oh, that's right, I do own a convertible. I'm going to put the top down. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. I'm kind of liking it. It's fun.
Yeah. Is it for a role?
It is. Yeah,
Okay.
It wasn't just me, like midlife.
I think
Panic
you're a little
meltdown.
below midlife.
It's for a role. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fun.
Is it for the David Leitch?
It is for the David Leitch movie. Yeah.
Oh, how exciting. Did you see
Very
Fall Guy?
exciting.
You must have.
Oh yeah. I saw Fall Guy. of
Do we
course.
agree it's
brilliant.
a perfect film?
It's brilliant and such a great celebration of the stunt industry and everything and that's what's so exciting about what David's done recently as well in terms of getting the stunt recognition category in the Oscars as well.
Oh, did he succeed at that?
Yeah. So I think in 2 years or something, there's going to be a
that's
stunt
great.
design category. I think is what they're calling it. So that will be part of the Oscars. Which
I'll
will be very
expect
exciting.
them to give me a Lifetime Achievement Award in that department.
Get on it.
That'll be,
Start.
I never thought I had a route into the Academy Awards, but this could be it.
That's like they just added podcasting to the Golden Globes, and he
have they?
he just shit on the Golden Globes publicly. I'm like, well, there goes our shot.
We'll redact that quick now. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a little late.
You've got to start saying some good things about
I know.
the Globes quick.
I know. We got a campaign.
You've had to play that game. Have you ever been on any like weird lunches with like
Campaign?
Yeah.
No. You know what? The Globes thing. I was lucky. I got nominated for the Globes twice.
Yeah.
The first year I think was COVID, so we didn't get to go. I just sat at home with a laptop.
Oh God.
Is that good or
yeah.
bad?
I was kind of like, oh, it would have been fun to go and
Yeah.
been nominated and been like, yeah, okay, this is a little achievement. You know,
Yeah.
I'm out the house, nice. And then the following year was when everyone kind of boycotted. I got nominated again, and it was when everyone boycotted the Golden Globes. So again, nobody went. And I was like, what? And then the following year, I didn't get nominated.
Sure.
And everyone was back there having the best time. They loved the
Great
Golden Globes
time.
again. And I was sitting at home, like, ruining it, being like, ugh, stewing.
If you get nominated again and then there's another event, we will have to conclude
That's a you problem.
it's definitely a Nicholas problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you guys been? It's been a while since I've been on. The house is looking lovely. You're looking very strong and fit. We can talk about that more now
I'd
we're on
love
mic.
to. I'd like to do an hour
What
on
are
it.
you doing?
We should pull up
What
a
are you
picture.
eating?
Can we, Rob, maybe
before and
pull up
after?
a picture of
The last.
the first one?
Okay.
Because I want to see how different you look.
You would be probably shocked with how often we have talked about you since you did the podcast.
Every app?
And
You come up
specifically,
a lot.
Maybe I can
Your
have like a
body.
little guest spot. Oh, really?
yes,
Not to
truly.
not to put you on the spot, but yes, you come up as like the perfect male body.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
According to
Me and women.
Well,
Oh,
and,
great.
and
Great.
me. Here's what happened. I had my own journey with your body. Yeah, I got big. And then there was a moment, it was actually when you were on.
Yeah.
You left, and I was like, it was a moment of clarity. I go, that's what women like. They don't want a fucking 220-pound dum-dum.
Right. They want you to look. Well, my body is like, unbelievably, I'm in the gym a fair bit. I'm playing
Yeah.
sports, but I actually don't really look like it. And everyone just talks about how scrawny I am online.
No.
No.
No one's talking about that. Every woman I know is talking about how it's pretty much perfect. And I myself conceded to that when I left you. I was like, yeah, that's what every gal's
You
looking
are
for.
very fit, but it doesn't look like you are trying too hard. And
Right.
there is a sweet spot.
Oh, look how cute
at
we are.
us.
Okay.
Dex, oh my God.
What's happening?
Yeah, we just look younger.
This is downstairs just out
Did
the
you
back
do
here.
the same thing I did? Let's be honest.
Who-
Like, you've got Nicholas in the photo,
Yes.
and your eyes should go there. And then I look at myself and I go, oh my God, what happened to my face? What's wrong with me? And did you do the same thing, Monica? Did you find your own face and then just get locked in?
Well,
and
yeah.
start criticizing?
I was just like, oh, we're getting older.
Okay.
Like, I can tell.
From these, we're all getting older.
I
Yeah,
think-
this is 3 years.
No, you look younger for sure with the blonde hair, the fun blonde hair, and clean shaven.
Yeah.
guess you're not clean
You're
shaven.
aging backwards.
Yeah.
It's a
Get
lot
that
of
off there, Rob.
potions.
But
But
you
I'm
look-
already kind of big there.
Yeah, I was about to say, you look muscular there too.
Yeah. But you left, and it was like a real a reckoning.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to be honest with myself. I'm clearly not doing this for women
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
because I know that this is the dream.
Well,
And
now you're doing it for me because I walked in and saw you and I was like, woof.
It was like a moth to
I
a
was like, woof,
flame.
woof.
I know. And it works. Men love his body now.
We do.
You
I
guys
speak
are
on behalf
obsessed
of all
with
Women
men.
are out, men are in. Let's go.
Yeah, so you stopped doing it for men, but by result of that, I've actually done it even more for men.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
for men. It's probably always been for men, but it took me a while to.
Well, as long as you're fit and healthy and happy,
Yeah.
then it's all good.
What is your routine?
Well, at the moment, I've got a different routine because I've torn my ACL
Oh, you have?
3 weeks ago. Yeah.
A shooting?
No, playing basketball.
Oh.
Just that pickup Saturday morning game. I was really feeling it. And probably
Do you appoint yourself power forward? What role are you playing?
yeah, power forward. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, it was rough.
That
I was on and
sucks.
the most embarrassing thing was, so it went. I was laying there and I was being a little pansy about it. I was like, ah. and
Wow,
then
hyperventilating.
someone I was playing with, they were like, get help or something. And then
911.
they did.
No, they did not.
No.
So eventually, like 10, 15 minutes later, I'm up and like people are helping me out the gym to get in the car to try and get home. My wife had told me that day, she was like, don't go play tomorrow morning because you're playing on Sunday anyway, just chill. And I went anyway. So then, and then I was like, oh, right, I shouldn't have been here. And now I've done this.
Now she's
and
got
then,
I told
and
you
then
so.
two
Yep.
fire engines turn up.
Ooh.
And all these firefighters jump out with all their emergency gear and are running towards it. And I'm hobbling out with and I was like, no, guys, it's really okay. I was like, this is so embarrassing. It's fine.
That's
Rough to have the fire.
Yeah. They all
Brigade
looked at me
show
like,
up.
what is your problem? Why are we called for this?
Because you probably
Please,
already were
please stop.
regretting your reaction by the time you were up and walking.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was like, am I overreacting?
Right.
It felt
But it's
pretty bad.
horrible, yeah.
My knee just went outwards. And then people kept on asking me, did you hear a pop? And I was like, I don't think. But also, I was probably shrieking in my mind at that point. So
Yeah.
it's a complete test. So yeah,
It
Oh,
is. All I'm
man.
looking for out of you right now to help me in my futures, like, do you know? You know. You go, oh, that's torn.
looking back, yeah, I was like, that's not good.
Okay.
That was pretty obvious, I think. It wasn't like, there's something definitely,
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Hey. And did you get surgery for it?
not yet. I've got to go do the film first because if I did the surgery now, I wouldn't be able to,
Oh,
walk.
But this is an action movie. You'll be running and jumping.
Yeah. So that gets back to your question about what I'm doing, which is like I'm doing physio 3 times a week, just kind of like trying to get full motion back and strength and
Oh
whatever,
my
so that
God.
it can, because people can survive without an ACL. It's just not good if you are like
In an action movie.
changing direction and trying to run and rob
Yeah.
banks and whatever else.
Oh,
But we'll figure
Lord.
it out.
Did you have to call Dave personally? The director, David
did,
Leash?
I did. I called him. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
tell me about
scary.
like leading up to that phone call.
I know. I was just like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, for a second, my wife's going to say, I told you so.
Yeah.
And then
So
next
that-
is this.
At that point, I didn't have all the information. I hadn't been to I hadn't got my MRI, and I didn't know when I was going to get. So there was a lot of unknowns at that point.
Yes.
So I just called him. I was like, "Hey, this is the deal." And David's great. He's one of the nicest people in the world ever. And he was like, "Oh, I've had that. It sucks. Don't worry, we'll figure it out."
I've had 6
Wow.
of
He was
those.
so-
Don't
yeah.
worry.
That's
he was like, he was
nice.
lovely. So he was like, just keep me posted what we can do and how we're going to make this work.
Oh.
So then, luckily, when I went to see the doctor, he was like, "Yeah, well, I wouldn't do surgery now anyway because of this and this. So we'll do it after the film. We'll get you up on your feet." Blah blah. So then I called David straight after that, and I was like, We're good.
Good to go.
Let's go. Let's go rob some
Let's
banks.
get it done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin was stabbed in Mexico like, days before starting a
this
movie.
segue?
That was
Yeah,
wild.
this is like-
Recently, today? Now, is this a news break?
This is
okay.
what film was that on?
I
just
don't
went over it.
remember.
But
He was stabbed.
yeah, he was down in his using days, and he was
Right.
like taking a quick holiday before he started production.
Yeah.
And he got stabbed in the chest by a guy, and had to come home. And he broke his arm like 3 days before No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
But it kind of worked
He's
because
like
his
doing it on
character.
purpose.
Oh, I
to
didn't
be
know that.
rugged.
I just think like in the scheme of things, worse has happened where he shows up with a fresh stab wound to set. Like, we're going to have to make this work. That swimming scene's out. I have a hole in my
Fresh
chest.
stab wound.
God,
Yeah,
I think
hopefully
I would
that's
be
not-
tempted to just show up and be like, yeah, so I also tore my ACL, so they couldn't recast me. They wouldn't have time to recast
Right.
me.
I did that for a commercial, if you recall.
And you
Did
got
you?
fired.
I could not book commercials. I auditioned for 8 years from commercials, and I got
Yeah.
2 of them.
Right.
I got 3. This would be a third. But on the weekend before the shoot, a guy punched me in the nose
Yeah.
as I was sitting down, crisscross.
Crisscross applesauce.
I was sitting like that and got my nose broken.
You were sitting on that. Is that why the guy punched you?
He
because
didn't
he was like, not crisscross.
Yes, he thought I was
applesauce.
appropriating.
Why are you calling it Indian style?
Yeah, he was.
He was.
I don't even know who's mad. Native Americans or Indians
no
are
one
mad?
knows.
Okay.
No one knows.
Yeah, but severely broken.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to go and hope that they can put makeup on it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't. It
And
was
they
like this
fired-
big. I had black and blue eyes, and it was
Yeah.
crooked.
What was it for? What was the commercial for?
It was for Carl's Juniors.
All right, they probably don't.
Carl's Jr.?
Carl's Jr.
I don't need to say juniors.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yes, the Michigan in me came out. I want to catch everyone up. So
Okay.
you came on.
Yep.
I was very charmed by you, as most people are. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be my new young friend.
I know,
I know,
I
and then we
said-
haven't hung out once.
I know.
We've texted a fair bit.
Yeah. And I think I'm coming on. I'm pursuing you a little more stronger than you're pursuing.
I'm just very unavailable.
You are, which is
That's-
probably why I'm so
that's so
attracted.
attractive.
And I'm such a bad texter as well.
Oh,
and when I opened my messages today to text you, and then I was like, oh shit, I haven't responded to this message,
Oh
and I
my
felt bad,
God.
so I apologize for that. I just,
Yeah, you're in a relationship
It's
with a hot guy.
It's working.
It's how it works.
Yes, it's. I know what they feel like. And it's working.
Yeah.
I'm very good when it's like, oh, it's happening, like, oh, we're going to meet, or like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like that.
Just
the
a
bit
casual
when I'm like,
check-in.
well, you know, I've got kids and this and that and work and everything. I'm just like bouncing around a lot. So I apologize. I'll do better at that.
No. I just
do better.
wanted.
It's not an excuse.
I wanted to out myself as being as heavily
But
pursuing you.
you were riding recently down at Coda, right?
Yeah. I'm
How was
motorcycles.
How was that?
It was incredible. Have you driven that track?
I have. I did that track. Yes.
Uh-oh.
It's going to go into the story.
Did you
We
crash?
love stories.
No, I didn't crash. We were there for South by Southwest, and a few of I was there with my 2 best friends, and we'd gone out the night before, and I was like, we're going to go to the track tomorrow and maybe drive, and then we like hadn't slept. And I turned up at the track, and then they were like, oh, there's a bike session out now. Do you want to go out? And me being young, I was like early 20s, mid 20s, I don't know, I was stupid, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Oh, you went out on a motorcycle?
Yeah, so I went before the car session, went out on a bike, and was like,
Yeah. How did that feel?
it felt like I shouldn't have been doing it. It's pretty
Yeah,
quick.
it's pretty dangerous.
It's like in hindsight, dumb
Yeah.
decision. But I was like, well, I don't know when I'll be back again. Might as well. But it's a fun track. It's a beautiful track. It's surprising how much elevation change there is there.
Yes.
It's-
As I say, it's like if you want to experience what it's like to ride inside of an American flag,
Right? Yeah.
that's what it is. It's just
Yeah.
like it's so colorful and yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. So have
is
you
fun.
been driving?
I've been driving. I was at Daytona.
Are you in the Ferrari Challenge?
Yes.
Or you were building up
this
to
time I was in Track Attack. Which we had a bit of a rough weekend. Daytona. Have you done Daytona?
No.
You done that track?
No.
So it's a fun track because we do like the banking, but then of the tri-oval, but then you go into the infield.
it? Yes.
It was my first time there. But I did have a crash.
Oh, you did?
Oh.
I'm in the wars at the moment. I had the
Ah.
crash. I've done the knee.
Yeah.
Everything's like, oh, gee, I should stop doing all this.
You start questioning.
There's a little bit of doubt creeping in occasionally now, where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this never used to happen, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
But it was my second session out there as Ferrari Challenge, and I was probably pushing a little bit too hard. There's a brake zone on the back straight where you're braking down for the bus stop chicane sort of thing, and you're coming braking from like 170 or 180, and I lost the back end into the tires.
Oopsies.
Yeah. So,
And how there's no level of embarrassment for me worse than if I fail in a vehicle.
yeah, it was embarrassing. Well, I felt bad because I felt bad on many levels. First of all, it was that weird feeling when I don't know when you've how many times have you crashed?
Motorcycle once, 4 pieces, the clavicle and the whole thing. So really, I've had that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've had.
No.
And then I've had. Go ahead.
You
No.
yeah, in the neighborhood, you hurt yourself
bicycle.
on a bicycle,
I did crash an electric
bike.
bicycle.
Oh, really?
After I had already had the shoulder
And it was
rebuilt.
bad.
Yeah, it broke all the hardware.
Yeah, it was really bad.
But there's some level of embarrassment for me when it's vehicular that is just almost.
Because it's Dax's whole identity. Is it your whole identity?
I don't.
I don't think it is.
I wouldn't say it's the whole.
What percentage
I think if
of
it was the whole identity, I'm not that good at it.
That's
if I was
upsetting.
really good at it, then I could be like, oh yeah, it's more of my identity, but I'm not good enough for it.
Mine's
Be-
disproportionately more my identity than it deserves to be. So that's you shouldn't let that rule.
Like,
it
I
out.
can't put all of it, but it depends what I'm obsessing about at that time that suddenly becomes my thing.
Yeah, it's got to be a big chunk of your identity,
It's,
right?
I enjoy it. Yeah, I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the obsession about it and the details and whatever else. But yeah, I was embarrassed. It was that weird thing that when I felt the crash happening, I was like, And at that moment, there's nothing you can do about it. It's too late. It's just, there's a little bit of time slowing.
Oof.
And then I remember when the only time I've come off a bike on track as well, I remember the thought was like, oh, this is what it feels like.
Right.
Which is a weird thing, but you just go, oh, this is what's happening. This is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because it's out of your control. And then I hit the tires, and I was actually considering they were like, Ferrari kind of happily, and the team were kind of happily surprised there wasn't as much damage as there could have been
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
to the car. So
Was
that
it
good.
it wasn't like a 24-hour.
No, it wasn't an endurance thing. The next day we got back out in the car, and that was the weird thing, was like then trying to get back out, because that's the first time that's happened where I was like, oh, and we lost the data in the video, so we don't know what I did wrong.
Oh.
So there's also wasn't a thing where it's like I'd be coming up to that turn and I'd be like real tentative because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what happens if something happens again and I don't know what it is?
Right.
And-
Yeah, it's very scary to not know why it happened.
Yeah, that was a weird thing.
Okay, 2 more things,
Yeah.
Monica. I promise we'll move on.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
sorry,
am
sorry.
remembering
Scared.
last time there
Yeah.
was a fair
Yeah.
portion
Sorry,
of
before we just monopolized the conversation about racing, my bad.
no.
But
it's
when
good.
you're at Daytona, so when I did the Lamborghini thing, we did Fontana, which has the bank.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
run half the bank. I had the advantage of someone in that series. Well, 2 dudes in that series were NASCAR drivers.
Mhm.
So I got to go out in practice and do the bank with them.
Yeah.
But there was a moment before I went out behind them where I had done it and I was like, 5th gear flat, that's as fast as a human can go through this turn. I came and I started talking to the NASCAR guy. He's like, oh no, it's 6th gear flat through there. I'm like, there's
Yeah.
no fucking way. It's like, and he's like, well, just get behind me and just follow me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I did, and lo and behold, you could. But I'm just curious, did you have that learning curve with the bank where it's like, oh my God, you can go.
Oh yeah, the first time I went out with my coach and like he did 3 laps, 4 laps, and I was like, and I thought I came in and I thought I was going to cry. I was like, that's so intense.
Yeah, I got to do
I was
that
like, my
now.
eyes were just a little bit misty, and I was like, I'm not going to cry, but I just feel a little bit overwhelmed by everything that's just happened, and it's so fast, and yeah, it's like 31 degrees the banking, whatever, and you are flying. I think the fastest we hit there was 190.
Oh,
190 turning
my
left.
God.
So it was like one of those where they came in, they were like, "Go on, Nick, hop in the driver's seat, off you go."
Yeah.
And I was like, at that moment, I was a bit like, "Oh, I don't know about this." But then you do build up to it, and obviously also I've done the track on the sim before getting there, and that banking feels like it's like 6 lanes wide and no worries. And then suddenly you get on it, and you are like leant over as far as you are, and it's technically 3 lanes wide, but it feels like there's only room for 1, maybe 2 cars.
Yes.
And you're looking like up out the window over
and
there.
all your peripheral vision is now moving by you. It's the only time you really feel speed. Now everything out the window is going by at 190. And you're like, oh, I'm flying.
It's a bizarre thing. But then also, I'll end race chat on this.
No, you're good.
Oh, no, we
You're
have one
good.
more thing. I
Oh,
told her
okay.
there's
Oh,
2.
Lord.
Okay, there was a beautiful moment. So on the Sunday, like we'd finished basically, and I was just like out there lapping a little bit, like end of the weekend, and the sun was setting, and I was on the banking, and I wasn't like really pushing, but I was just kind of out there, just enjoying like the sunset Daytona, cruising around the banking, and I was like, this is like a once in a lifetime experience. That felt very special. I was like, oh
that's
yeah.
cool.
Okay, last race thing.
Okay.
You'll like this one, though. It's more
Okay.
fun. Are you still following Formula One?
Yeah.
Great. Max, how do you feel about Max?
This season, particularly watching how far his car is off the pace, watching what he's doing, I'm really impressed.
Just to say, Monica, teammates always, almost without exception, always finish within 2 places of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max's whole season is finishing in the top 3, and his teammates 14 regular.
that's
He's 11
wild.
places ahead always.
Yeah. It's remarkable what he's doing this
Yeah.
year, and in qualifying and in the races, it's really impressive.
But that's not even why I bring him. I bring him up because did you hear that they did a screening for F1 in Monaco?
No, I didn't know this.
It's perfect. I saw it.
Oh, you saw it?
It's
That's good?
excellent.
Oh, great.
It's everything you want it to be. Every driver's in the movie
Mhm.
virtually. And so they invited all the drivers to see a screening of it at Monaco, and everyone went except for Max because he had a sim race scheduled.
I think it's great. I'm like, he's prioritizing his real job.
Well, sim racing's not his real job. That's his hobby. But he is
Well-
so obsessed with it. It's
Right.
part of it, the reason he is Max.
Yeah.
But when I saw it, I leaned over to Kristen and I'm like, fucking Max. He's in a movie with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
He's in like, there's some sequences where it's he and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't need to see that.
Maybe he's just excited to see it another time.
Well,
Maybe he's got tickets for opening day.
I think he doesn't care. And I think that's cool.
I do too. It's
He's
part
like,
of why
I don't care
love
about
him.
these movie stars. I'm a race car driver.
He doesn't even care if he's in a movie with Brad Pitt.
I know, I think
to
that's
be in a
cool.
movie with Brad Pitt and
Yeah.
not go see is so next level to me.
Yeah.
You'd
I
go
would,
see it.
I would go see a movie with Brad Pitt if I was there. I'd go see it. If I'm not in it, I'll go see that movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
You might be in a movie with Brad Pitt. That's
Hopefully
on
one
the
day.
horizon.
I got to meet him and he was lovely.
Ugh.
Where did you meet him? At an event?
At
or
the Venice Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
I was chatting to a friend of mine and Brad came over and he'd seen The Great and really liked it and then was just like, hey, the show's really funny, you're funny.
Oh.
And he was so lovely and I was like, I was pretty starstruck. I don't
Yeah.
get starstruck very much, but Brad was one that I was a bit like,
He's overwhelming.
yeah. And I was like, yeah, I just kind of stuttered a little bit and then didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then now look back and I was like, oh.
But he liked you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very
He
cool.
had
He
a compliment.
deserves it though.
Yeah,
was
I
very
know.
cool.
Yeah, you deserve it.
I
You
know.
It was
deserve
a nice moment.
Another unavailable super hot guy.
He is in the Beyonce category that I'm not sure if they're real.
Mm.
You know, like there's like a certain echelon of people. It's not even how famous they are. It's just like there's something about them that I'm like, are you real?
Well, he's also just given so many iconic, brilliant performances.
Yeah, he's incredible.
So I was like, no, you had things you could have said to him, but my brain wasn't working.
No, it's
just-
good.
I
That's
just
probably
stood
so
there like a lemon.
endearing. Can you imagine how many people he talks to that have that? Everyone,
It must be
everyone's
difficult.
reacting.
It must
yes.
be difficult. He's like, I can't have a conversation because look at all these people. They shut
Mumbling
down.
people.
Yeah, just mumble.
It is kind of my main obsession with him is the loneliness of it.
Mhm.
I could have talked to him about that.
That's what I.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, I like the show. Are you lonely?
Let's talk about your loneliness.
Were you watching it because you felt lonely at home and you didn't know what else to
You're
do?
reaching out to me.
What's the thing that people will most come up to you for?
Yeah, sometimes it's great. Sometimes still skins, surprisingly.
Oh, wow,
Sometimes X-Men. Sometimes, yeah, just a mix of
It
things,
varies.
I suppose. Yeah.
I just thought maybe it was one of these situations where like people who have been in tons of big movies and then they're in a TV show and they're not expecting that, but that somehow is so much bigger.
Yeah, I think the TV thing is different because people, it's on every week and it's in people's houses and it's kind of, I think it does, being on TV makes you more recognizable than being in films in some way, unless you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got, in the case of The Great, they've got 30 hours
yeah.
of watching it versus 2.
Yeah.
And then also I would imagine there's like, people are still probably watching The Great for the first time right now.
Hopefully.
It really is. When I was heartbroken to see it end. It has since ended since we saw you last.
Yeah, true. I think that was season 1 or 2.
Yeah. Were
Season
you
2 was coming out.
sad?
I was very sad. Yeah, I love playing that character and Tony's writing and working with Elle and all that cast. I was very sad. Yeah, our last day shooting, the scene when my character
Drown.
drowns and spoiler.
Yeah, we just told people to watch it.
Watch
Yeah.
Don't worry, that comes
it's
very
a big
end.
surprise. Bleep that out.
Is that what really happened to him?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
it's all pretty fictionalized. But yeah, so I was very sad. And it was emotional scenes anyway. There were fun scenes to play, but
Yeah.
I remember doing the first rehearsal. I think Elle and I were just both crying because
Aw,
Yeah.
it felt like the end of an era and something that we loved doing so much. Yeah,
I was blown away to learn you live in Long Beach today. Do you live in Long Beach?
Yeah,
What a,
you
what
ever
a
come-
fucking
do you guys
Long
ever
Beach,
come that way?
California?
yeah.
Long Beach, California.
Oh.
How did you end up there?
My wife's family are from down that way.
Oh.
And so whenever I was leaving town for work, we live not far from here in the hills over that way. And then whenever I was leaving town for work, she would go down there to be closer to them and
Yeah.
just, have
Help
support
with the
and everything.
kids.
And then eventually I was like, well, why don't we got to like starting school time and all that. And I was like, well, why do we live in LA? Just move down there.
Yeah.
And I really like it, close to the water. There's some good food and coffee. You can walk everywhere. The community is lovely and very welcoming. It's a good little spot. So come on down.
Okay. Did you have a wife and kids last time we saw you?
3 years ago? Yeah.
He had a girlfriend.
Yeah, I suppose we weren't.
And one kid, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Girlfriend, one child.
Okay, got it. I
Are
was
they
like, this feels
3 and
different.
7 right now, or
2 and 7.
2 and 7?
Yeah. Nearly 3 though. You're close. Yeah.
Okay, so 7 is first grade.
Yeah, just finishing first grade.
Aw.
And you're going to school like I do, I imagine.
Doing the school run and all that?
Yeah, dropping. Yeah.
I try and do drop off and pick up when I'm home. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do drop off, because I do drop off, it's, let's be honest, it's primarily moms.
Right.
I don't know how it is in Long Beach, but it's
a mix.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be more
Yeah.
fair. It's a mix.
Yeah.
All you
I'm just
see is the women.
Probably. No, I see the dads because you got to talk to the dads.
Are you
know,
wearing a shirt when you do the school run?
exactly.
off and on. Depends what the weather
Straight
is.
out the gym, sweatband on, pouring water over the
Sorry,
head.
guys.
There is a mom I see at drop off that I often see on the hiking trail. And that feels weird, like I'm having an affair with her or something.
Right.
Why?
Just because we saw each other at a thing and now we're hiking together. Like we're not hiking together,
Right.
but it looks like we're hiking
at the
together.
same time.
Your brain.
It's just jump.
Yeah, what?
But I would argue I'm a 6 and you're a 10, and I get attention
I love
at
coming on this
drop off.
podcast. It really bolsters me.
Yeah, you come on anytime.
It
We'll
really
just
bolsters me.
shower you with
I'm gonna be
compliments.
like, oh babe, I'm feeling a bit rough. I might see if I can go on Armchair Expert.
All right, you're not going to answer that. Do the moms flirt with the moms? Must be fucking
this is an
pulling their
interesting
hair
question.
out with you dropping the kid off.
I don't think so. It doesn't feel well. No, I don't think so. I think I was just like, oh look, it's a bit boring and normal.
God, he's so boring in real life.
Real
Look,
life.
Yeah.
Oh look, now he wants attention. He's dyed his hair blonde.
The guy wasn't working
Oh,
for.
he's limping. Oh. We're not giving you enough attention.
He's holding a picture of his fiery car crash.
It could go either way. For if you're with your kid, I think that gets neutralized a little bit.
Oh, I think
You think it's hotter?
I think it's the opposite for
dads?
for dads.
dads.
And lucky for us, the hits keep on coming for the moms, and the dads
it's
keep.
so true.
It's so unfair. But no, a guy with a kid for a woman is very attractive.
well, if they're being
one of my
a
friends
good-
says this. He had a baby not long ago, and he was like, "Oh, a man with a baby is almost
Hot.
more attractive."
Actually,
Particularly
that's
if you're a good
right.
dad. I don't know.
1,000%
Yeah.
more. You're like, oh, that's a partner that was willing to have a child.
Yeah.
And he's caring for the child.
Look at him. Yeah.
I know.
Probably,
Look at
look at him
him.
doing the least amount,
Exactly.
probably.
Taking all the credit.
It's taken 10 minutes of work that day.
Oh my
and we
God.
adore him. Let's celebrate him. What a guy.
Dad of the year.
I know. Oh, these poor moms.
I know.
Father's Day's coming up. Have you asked for anything?
For Father's Day.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I need to think on it because for Mother's Day, I take the kids away all day
Right,
and
okay.
bring in
What are we doing? Where are we going?
exactly. So that's. I think the favor should be returned for me. Like she should rent a track for me
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
and you,
Yeah.
us. We'll bring motorcycles and cars, and
That
maybe
sounds perfect.
maybe we're alive at the end, and maybe
So
we're not.
exactly. So she could maybe be a widow at the end of all
send you off.
this.
They might both be happy with
We'll
that.
take out policies on each other before as well.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Another thing I was thinking about today was you're playing an American way more often. No, is that true? It feels like you're playing an American more often than you are.
It's probably 50-50.
Is it? I guess
I think,
Great you had an English.
Great was English. Nosferatu was English. But then I guess more reasons up. The Order and Juror Number 2, those were American, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lex Luthor's American. So yeah, a fair bit of American.
And when you're shooting something where you're playing it, are you inclined to just keep talking that way after work?
No,
No.
I don't go home and be like, hey,
Hello. Yeah.
hey kids. Although sometimes my older boy will be like, if I'm practicing an accent a little bit, he'll be like, stop doing that, Dad. Stop talking like that.
But he has an American accent, right?
He
That
does have
your
more of
son-
he used to have more of an English accent when we were spending
Oh.
more time. He'd say water.
Oh.
And now he says like water.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's
ugh.
sad.
I'm like, say it proper.
Yeah,
Water.
exactly.
Say it proper. Yeah, so he's got more of an American accent now.
He's probably more likely to pick up the words from you and not have the accent. Like he'll probably say
Right.
whilst and shit.
Yeah, I think he says garage.
He says garage.
Oh,
Yeah.
Does he say controversy? Or do you?
We'd never say that.
Okay,
we
'cause
never
that's
say
posh.
that. We steer clear of that.
Because it's posh?
No, I would say controversy.
Okay, but that's a polarizing word in England.
Is it?
Yes, a friend of mine's a journalist there, and he
Yeah.
says controversy. And I was like, what have you done to the
Controversy.
word controversy there? But it's split. I think it's a class thing.
I think that might be.
You
a
must have
class
been a
thing.
shitbird.
I think I was. Yeah, I'm not as posh to say that.
Yeah.
Is he?
Say it again?
Controversy.
Controversy.
It's nice.
Quite
No, but it's
Controversy.
missing an R. You're saying
Controversy.
controversy.
Okay.
Controversy.
There's an R. Controversy.
There are weird words like that occasionally.
Controversy. There's an R.
Controversy.
So you are dropping an R.
Controversy.
Well, no, I
It's just so posh you don't even need it. Controversy.
Maybe they just.
don't need
have
all
an
those
R.
letters.
Okay, 'cause
That's
you're
for
so
You
poor
know,
people.
you know what
posh.
I'm talking about.
Yes.
Controversy.
It's three
very-
letters. Okay, not since we saw you, but I think I overlooked this the first time. When did you do Rebel in the Rye?
That was when I was like 26.
Okay, you
Yeah.
did Rebel in the Rye, and you're playing JD Salinger. And I'm quite intrigued by JD Salinger. Did you learn? Did you learn neat stuff about him?
I learned a lot about him at the time, most of which I probably can't remember now.
Like, what is his life? All I know is he became extremely reclusive
Yeah.
and was really, really allergic to fame.
Yeah.
And he was like hard to find. Like, what was all that about?
I think, I'm not,
Yeah, you are. You're the next best thing we have.
I'm going to talk as if I have the right to on there. I think there was somewhat an element of like not wanting the judgment of critics and things like that. Because, and I'm butchering this completely, this is so long ago since I learned all this and thought about it. But I think there were some poor reviews of some of his later work and he hated that. And just didn't agree with it, and it kind of made him more and more reclusive, and the fame and people putting their own things on top of his work and thoughts on him. Somewhat.
Yeah. Well, there's all these serial killers who have not serial, but assassins who
that
have
carry the book.
Yeah.
carried the book around.
Yeah. Well, Catch is such a monumental work in terms of like that character and the voice of him and the dialogue and
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
just everything that it represents. And supposedly, a couple of years ago, I remember reading something that there's still in his vault all this unpublished work that the family have got and are considering maybe binding into a book somehow and releasing it.
Really?
But that's one thing that I found really beautiful about him in terms of there's a quote from and again I'm going to butcher this, but the Bhagavad Gita, is that how you say
That's
it?
right.
Okay. There's a quote in there that like you have the right to work for the work's sake only and not the fruits of its rewards.
Mhm.
I think, and that was something that I found very beautiful about how he went about. It was almost like he became like a tribute to this holy spirit or whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
whereby he was doing the work for just the love of the writing, as
Yeah.
opposed to the idea of ever rewarding it, a judgment of it, or putting it out and it becoming something else other than what it is for him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a
Yes.
beautiful way of looking at how he worked and what he did, I suppose.
There's a maybe it's apocryphal story that when Nicolas Cage was dating Patricia Arquette,
Yeah.
he asked her to marry him, and she said, "I'll only say yes if you get me a black orchid and JD Salinger's autograph."
Really?
Oh.
And he produced those, and they got
No.
married. If I ever get to interview him, I need to know if that's a true
Or
story,
her.
and if so, how did he get this autograph?
I will ask him.
Please, because I now realize you've done 2 movies with
I've
him.
done 2 movies with Nick.
Weatherman and Renfeld,
Yeah.
which I was there opening night
Oh,
to support
thanks.
my boyfriend who won't text me back.
Let's get him on the show. He's wonderful. I love Nick. Such a brilliant actor to work with. But I feel like that story is probably true. And if anyone can manage to get those 2 things,
Yes.
it's him.
Okay, so what he's famous for, I've heard too. I try to collect stories of Nick Cage, but he's apparently super famous for his rap gifts. That he gets like incredibly personal and incredible rap gifts. Has
For
he
people
gotten
who
you?
don't know, a rap gift is a gift at the end of a shoot.
Yep, at the end of a movie,
You might
exchange
think
rap
you're
gifts.
saying rap like
like a
He
rapper.
raps.
a rapper. Yes.
Like he writes a rap and
spoken
delivers
word
Yeah.
poetry for you.
He gives
at the
gifts,
end,
which are
would
his
also be
raps.
iconic.
Oh, yeah.
Like a producer friend of mine produced a movie he was in,
Yeah.
and he had just mentioned in conversation who his favorite author was. Long dead author. And for the rep gift, he presented him with like an original copy of his most famous work signed by him.
Really?
Yeah. And then I've heard several
He's
stories
great at
like
collecting
that.
signatures.
I know, that's like his thing, it sounds like.
He is,
There is a theme
Maybe it's all
arising.
JD Salinger and he's just copying, he's just like
maybe-
photocopying it all every
they're
time.
not even real.
Yeah.
People just presume because they're from Nick.
He's just a
Exactly.
forger. He's a
like, yeah. Oh, you want a copy of that? yeah. All right.
Jesus. I got a copy of the Bible signed by Jesus Christ from Nick Cage.
Posted it on eBay. There you go.
Is a black orchid that rare?
I don't know.
It
And I might
must
even have the
be.
flower wrong.
Okay,
but it
yeah.
was some orchid that's impossible to get.
Oh, I want one. Can you ask Nick Cage if he'll get me one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
great.
I'll ask for 3.
Well, funny enough, he was in Adaptation and it was all about orchids.
It
And I
was.
remember watching that thing going, is that the orchid she wanted? This one that he,
Ooh.
Chris,
It's a great film. So he found them. Did they get married? I don't know.
they got married.
They did.
Yeah, they've since divorced.
We got to find out where that orchid and the signed copy is now.
What would you say his personality's like?
The word I would use is very pure. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Authentic?
It's very authentic, but it's like, you know, when you meet people that have got like larger than life personalities, but they're kind of fake. They're
Yes,
put on and
affected.
they're trying to be interesting or whatever, blah blah. Nick has like stories like you were just mentioning, all this wild life,
Yeah.
but it's coming from the most pure place you can possibly ever imagine.
Yeah.
He couldn't be
makes sense.
boring if he wanted to be.
It's just a zest and love for everything and passion,
Yeah.
and it's authentic, and it's just like
It's not for attention.
no, it's just he's just one of the most idiosyncratic people I've ever met
so
in a
cool.
wonderful way. That's how I kind of describe him.
I'm such a fan of his. I wonder if I were acting opposite him, if I would get taken out sometimes.
Yeah, I get taken out when you're working with someone like that because you've watched them so much in so many things,
Yeah.
and they're so unique.
And what he's doing in that movie too is outrageous.
Yeah, so there's definitely moments where I'll be like, oh, look, I'm getting a front row seat to see
Yeah, that's
Nick
so
Cage do.
cool.
So there's moments where you recognize that, I suppose,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, where I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
I saw The Order.
Oh, thanks.
We had Jude on,
You did?
and
Nice.
you were phenomenal in that.
Thank you.
I could imagine some actors today not wanting to play that role because you're playing a real dude,
Bob Matthews.
Bob Matthews, who's a white supremacist who robbed all these banks
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
to
Yes.
fund his
Terrorist organization, essentially.
terrorist organization.
Yeah.
Any reservations for you? Or like, I would leap at that role.
You know,
God.
I shouldn't say that. That sounds
yeah,
like I
that
want
sounds
to play.
crazy.
rephrase that.
Yeah.
I'm dying to get offered a
Finally.
white supremacist.
Yeah, that didn't work.
But it's juicy.
I'd do it for free.
I'm just going to go ahead and practice on my own until this comes.
Don't even need the script.
I'll improv the whole thing.
Make a movie. Dax, what are you doing?
Oh
His
my
character.
God. It's scary though to say yes to a role like that in a time of cancellations.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Thanks,
is.
Monica. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, you know what the thing was going into that? I'd worked with Justin Cazale, the director, before.
Uh-huh.
So I trusted him and I knew his approach to making these movies and telling difficult stories and playing, like I played a villain in his other movie as well. And it was so unexpected, the process of working with him. Because his movies are pretty dark
Yeah.
and intense and wonderful performances. And so I got to the set for the first film we did together and I was like, oh, how's it going to be? And then it was like so relaxed and like caring and nurturing and he was so warm. And I was like, oh, this isn't what I expected. So when it was him directing and he sent me that script, I was like, oh, okay, this is, I trust the process and I'm going to be okay with him directing.
Yeah, but
it.
it's one of those, I mean, to be good, which you are, you have to find
believable.
sympathy. You have to be believable. You have to understand the point of view of these awful people. And that's tough.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting as well because it's not, you have to put judgment aside in some regards, I
Yeah.
suppose. But that's again how Justin's so good as a director is it's like, he'll look at the characters as, you know, obviously as the audience, you can have your opinion, but he tries to look at them objectively as possible, I suppose, and give them as much context around their lives.
Yeah, what seemed, I don't know, I'm curious. What
No.
seemed like an easy anchor for that character was like the hate and the bigotry and all that to me is kind of like the downriver symptom of something else that this guy clearly had, which is like he wants to be a leader of people. He wants to be an elder. He feels small. Like these things are kind of like human things we could latch onto.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a testament to that director because that to me was palpable.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's always trying to, from the outside, you look at it and you clearly see the hatred and all the terrible the ideology that he's spewing and what's not true about it. But then when you're, researching and learning about that person and their life and their beliefs, you have to kind of understand what it is that convince them that those things are true.
Yes.
And also what they believe they're protecting and the love that they're believing that they're presenting for themselves and their family and their dreams and all this sort of stuff. They have to believe in that. So you have to kind of switch your brain around a little bit into that.
Yeah.
Would be the thing.
I guess the reason I said I would...
No. We don't need to circle back to that.
Dig the hole deeper. I guess how about this? This is a much more PG way to say it. I do think there's something crazy exhilarating about playing someone you're not supposed to be.
Yeah, in life we're all trying to live and do the best we can.
It's almost
majority
like
of the time.
Freebie.
Yeah.
It's like you can go for 3 months and play Lex Luthor, play a villain, and be an asshole. I only got to do once. I was a bad guy in one comedy, and it was the most fun I think I've ever had.
Did you feel it was quite freeing in a way?
Yes, it's like, every time I think of what you should not do, that's what you do.
Right. There is something very fun about that, by playing villains.
Totally. Like you walk into a room, you see a guy in a wheelchair, and the first thought you have is like, don't say anything about running or anything that might make this person feel awkward. Okay, you
This has really gone off the rails.
What would you do as a villain?
I mean, no, I
Does it appeal to you at all to be a villain?
Yes.
Okay,
the darker, we all have dark parts.
Yeah.
And to be able to not suppress those, but like release those. Yes, I get that.
Okay.
I don't see someone in a wheelchair and go like,
You,
like, I know,
you don't?
I don't. And I know
That's my
a lot
OCD,
of people do.
I think.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck, this guy doesn't have an ear. Do not say, I just panic about what I could do wrong.
You think it's accidentally going to like come out and you're going to hurt someone.
Yes.
But not everyone. I don't have that.
You don't have it. Do you have it at all? Where you like quickly evaluate what not to say in a room?
Maybe too late.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't evaluate quick enough.
After Brad Pitt walks away.
And then I'm like, shouldn't have said that. In hindsight, now I realize that was not the thing to say. I don't think I have it as strongly as you do, maybe.
I'm happy to
Yeah.
be unique with it.
I think I think you're right. I think it might be almost like an OCD tendency.
I think so.
I think it's a common thing. There's definitely an element of like, and that's built into us since we're being kids as well. It's like,
Right.
don't stare, don't do this, don't do that, don't say that.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. If I'm with like you or our friend Jess, who's similar, I'm just aware of what they're gonna do, what like you're gonna do or what he's gonna do. That's like a problem.
Uh-huh.
You're putting out fires in your brain already.
Yes,
You're like,
already. I'm like, how am I gonna counteract when he stares?
So we're engaged in the same battle.
I guess
I'm like,
so.
The battle of good and evil.
don't do this.
Carnage.
And you're like, I hope if he
I hope
does
he
it, what am I going
doesn't
to
do
do?
that.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's great that you're working on the
We're
same.
teammates. I don't know why you're upset. With
I know it. I know it.
What were we talking about? Just
pretending to be evil.
I just saw. Yeah, you were so great in that.
Thank you.
And then I do want to ask you about juror number 2 just for a second.
No.
Clint Eastwood. I've had friends that have worked for him. He was 94 when you guys worked together.
93.
93.
But I think, he's now 94. I think he's going to be 95 next week.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yes, and he famously does one take.
Mhm.
I even heard a story of a friend that worked with him where it's like they were doing a rehearsal and they rolled on rehearsal and it was like bombs and pyrotechnics and some of them didn't go. And then he was like, okay, great. And everyone's like, no, that was a rehearsal. But he's like kind of famous for this.
Yeah.
Is it nerve-wracking?
I was lucky. I had a really good experience because I went from doing Nosferatu straight into the order, straight into juror number 2. So those things were kind of literally a weekend between each shoot.
Oh.
And Rob Eggers, you shoot on film and it's kind of longer setup takes where, you might end up doing 30 takes to get it,
Wow.
because you needed to get it all right in that single shot because that's the scene. You can't cut around and edit things. And then Justin for the order, Justin goes, that's like, it's kind of, you're shooting a film and he's exploring a lot with the character. You walk away at the end of the day and you're like, I don't know what that will be in terms of how that will play the scene in the edit and what they're going to pick up on. And then Clint, is basically one take, sometimes two, which is quite a jump.
Yeah.
For me, coming from the other two where I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. But there's a wonderful thing where you're like, well, it's Clint Eastwood. And he's made countless brilliant movies and given so many wonderful performances. You're like, so if anyone...
He knows.
Yeah, this is the guy to trust with that. And there's a wonderful thing. He's like, he plays like jazz piano and stuff. And he kind of, it's like playing jazz, I suppose, in a way where you just trust the process of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult to let go. And it's certainly not, I wouldn't say the first take is always my best take.
Yeah.
But there's also something, I said to him, I was like, so we stood there one day on set and I was like, so how do you act? Hey, Clint, quick question. How do you act? Because I'm trying to figure it out over here.
We're pretty deep into this and I should have asked you earlier.
This is the end of week 1 and I don't know what I'm doing here. And then he was like, oh, well, it's, it's an emotional art form. So, don't think too much, just do. Just feel it. And I was like, oh, that's so simple.
Yeah.
And it's kind of with everything else going on sometimes in our brains and whatever, you can kind of forget those things, I guess, just to keep it simple. And I think he really is like a believer in the story and a believer in the process and trust in the audience. And he just puts it out there. And I think that's why his movies are so good in many ways. Yeah.
Did you feel a kind of crazy pressure when you had like a bigger scene in it? Like, I'm only going to get one of these. Like, I got to really deliver immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel pressure. I feel pressure with that. With even if I'm getting more takes,
Yeah.
and I think it's probably good for me in some ways because otherwise I'd do it to this ground into keep going. I'll do one more and more. And it's like, really, am I making any difference at this point?
Yeah, I learned that about you in a different interview. You said that is who you are on set. You'll ask. Endlessly.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know. It's just like there's the only chance, and then in theory it lives forever.
When I want extra takes, it's because they've let the reins off and they're letting me improv and I'm finding a fun thing and I want to see where it can go. So it's totally driven by fun.
Yeah. I'm driven by pure fear.
Is it fear? Yeah.
Fear of like, have we done everything? Have I done everything? Have I given what it needs?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to tell the story here in the edit? You know what I mean? It's a little bit of that, yeah.
Has that evolved over time?
No, it probably should. Now you say it. But you know what you say about having fun? I do find that normally if I'm having fun doing a performance, then people react better to it.
They can feel it when
they're kind of like, oh, I don't know. And it's not even to say that like I'm having fun in a way like, oh, this is a fun character. It could be like having fun playing an evil person.
Right.
It's like there's still like something where I'm enjoying the process of it, so people seem to pick up on that somehow.
That seems very, very on display in The Great.
Right. Yeah. That would be an example of that where I was having a great time.
Burberry.
Oh.
You didn't expect that one coming.
That's a left turn.
I didn't.
I like it.
I'm a recent convert.
Okay. How come?
Beckham the doc.
Oh, really?
Did you watch the doc?
I didn't watch the doc. I've only seen that brilliant clip where where Victoria's talking about like being driven to school and then David just sticks his head through the door.
You were driven to school in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's the best.
She's like, I grew up in a modest house.
You were driven to school.
It's such a brilliant clip. I need to watch the full documentary. But what is it in the documentary that makes you...
He's so cool. I can't stand
He is very cool.
Did you must have already thought that because you're from England.
Oh, yeah. I was just chatting to someone yesterday when we got... I think one of the first times I remember crying at a sporting event was when we got knocked out of the World Cup in '98.
Was that the pink card thing or the red card?
Red card, yeah.
That was it.
The red card.
Yes.
I like the idea of a
And that's
pink
when
card,
England
though.
turned on him.
Yeah, we were very unhappy because he got sent off for like that. He like kicked someone.
Yeah,
when he was
but
laying
not
on the
really
floor.
when you watch
Not
the doc.
really. It's kind of like, oh, but you get a red card for it. He was off and he was out,
Oh, no. Were you one of the haters?
No, I was too young to really be a hater. I was just heartbroken. No,
They
I
would
didn't.
like
Jersey.
build like puppets of him and then burn them. It was
I certainly. I was what? It was '98. I was 8 years old, maybe.
You didn't go to the pub that had him hanging from a noose.
Exactly.
I built that.
Oh my god! Okay, so you were
No, I was.
dark
I
8-year-old.
was just at home crying on the sofa. I remember.
But he's so fucking cool, and he's clearly wearing lots of Burberry. One of his teammates has a Burberry hoodie I had to order while I was watching.
Oh, you've got
doc.
the Burberry hoodie.
Yes.
Nice.
And then I learned this whole history I didn't know about from my aforementioned English friend.
Yeah.
That hooligans wore Burberry.
Well, this was the thing when we did, and I don't know if Burberry have kept this in, but when you do like the little stuff behind the scenes. Clips or whatever, they were like, when did you first learn about Burberry? And I was like, oh, it was going to like a market in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And they had all like the knockoff fakes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, and that's when I first became aware of like that pattern and how iconic it was, the brand, I suppose, in many ways, because I was like, oh, people are imitating this and you can buy it cheap here in the market.
Yeah.
Burberry hated that fact that the hooligans took that on as their official wardrobe.
Yeah, they probably don't like me talking about that. And they're like, let's just get some fun social stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I learned about it.
Yeah, that time those 4 guys were beating up those 2 men in their Burberry outfits, I thought, I want to wear that. That looks incredible.
So are you what are they called?
I just did one of their
Spokesperson.
campaigns.
You did a
last year,
campaign.
so I'm not
okay.
like,
you don't
yeah.
have to like wear them on red carpets and stuff
I don't
necessarily.
think so. No, I'm not like, I don't think it's like a,
It wasn't a lifetime contract.
no, I'm not. Yeah.
You laugh. It's a real thing. Like Emma Stone has one with Louis Vuitton, so she has to wear a certain amount of
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton on the red carpet. Natalie Portman has Dior. I know a lot of stuff.
Maybe,
guys.
yeah. Maybe
You
if I
might
keep,
be
maybe if I
supposed
keep,
to be
maybe if I
wearing
keep, maybe if I keep saying it in this interview, maybe they will
Maybe.
lock me up for life.
They
Quick.
should.
He was in the It's Always Burberry weather campaign.
Oh.
And he was in Rain, and it was
Oh.
rom-com. It was
Yeah.
like nods
It was
to
a
English
tribute to
rock.
the old English
Yeah.
rom-coms.
And
yeah.
then he had to do press about it, and then they would ask him what his favorite English rom-com, and it's Notting Hill, if you're
I
curious.
I do love Notting Hill.
Hill.
I love Notting Hill.
I
What
do
a
love
movie.
Notting Hill.
What does she say? I'm just a girl
Standing in front of a boy.
asking her to love him.
Oh, what a magic.
Do you follow? I imagine you have to.
It's a great movie.
Do you follow Hugh Grant with like I
Oh, I love
I
him.
find myself.
Do I follow him just in general?
Well,
Around.
my experience with him is like I just watched Heretic. We both saw
He's
Heretic.
so good, isn't it?
So good.
Yeah, I love watching Hugh. He's someone who's having fun.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's fun to watch. And he's so
100%.
smart. He's brilliant.
He's perfect.
He's funny.
And it's
Yeah.
like he's just had this interesting ebb and flow to his career where it's like you keep getting reminded he's perfect.
I was watching some of the old Merchant Ivory movies the other day.
Oh, wow.
With him in before, I guess, his kind of jump into like that iconic rom-com era of his career.
And then I was thinking for you being a little boy, having worked with him, do you also watch him and then have even yet another layer of like just stoked you know him and you've known him for most of your life? And
Yeah, it's fun. You know, I ran into him last year at something, and it was lovely because we had a proper catch up and a good little giggle,
Yeah.
which was nice. And I'm hoping that we're going to do something together again.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
about a grandpa.
Yeah,
Just a pitch.
just me hobbling around, going, "Oh, my knees! We were so young."
Oh, about a boy.
Oh,
That movie. It gave me the feeling.
What's
What
the
feeling?
feeling?
So I have a thing called the feeling. It's not a good feeling. It's a like I can't really put my finger on it, but there are certain movies and TV shows that give it to me, and it's really I think when things are so like real. I think in that movie, like it was so real and like sad and scary because the mom dies.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's at the beginning of the
Spoiler.
movie. It's,
Spoiler.
it was a long time ago. As soon as that happened, I was like, "Oh my god, this movie's
Too much for you.
Too much."
Overwhelming.
I was little. I mean, I was sad.
You were supposed to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is your fault. So.
This is your
Sorry?
chance to apologize.
Yeah.
What else do you get? What else have you recently had the feeling?
Oh, that's a great question.
So I would say my recently would be. Did you watch Adolescence?
Yes,
Yeah.
The end of Adolescence. Oh my gosh, I was just sitting there shattered.
it's.
That was the first time for a while that I turned something off and just sat there and been like,
I know that one is a hard watch, but an important watch.
yeah, great show.
And you have a little boy.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Does that scare you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, I mean, yeah, internet culture. I mean, what we didn't grow up with it.
Yeah.
I remember like when
Exactly.
the internet was first coming around for me, it was it was dial up. You went and sat on the desktop.
Yeah.
Takes 18
Downloaded a
minutes.
picture of boobs
And
for
then,
like 7 minutes.
You're like, here they come.
You had to really
Like,
earn your
You'd be on like
pornography back then.
LimeWire, like download it, and it'd
Yes.
pop up with like if you were downloading music, it'd be like this file's corrupted, and you'd be like, after a while, you wouldn't be able to find one that wasn't. You'd be like,
Yes.
hell, I need this song, whatever. And then your parents' computer would
I don't
shut
care
down,
what it does
to
and
my
they'd be like,
computer.
why is that computer completely fried? And you'd be like, sorry.
I know, and these kids have so much access now.
Yeah, it's a worry.
To everything.
It's a worry, for sure. And that, I guess that's what the brilliant thing about that show is bringing awareness, because even all the emojis and all that sort of stuff, I was reading
was
about those
learning
afterwards.
so much.
And I was like, oh, would you look at that? It's bizarre. But that's also, I mean, it's an interesting thing, even like whenever you learn about like playing these characters or whatever, blah, blah. You go into this kind of little hole of learning about them, and then you watch your algorithms and you watch everything change and the things that are recommended to you, and you watch them and you go, oh, it's so easy.
Yes.
You see how fragile our brains are in terms of how easily manipulated they are. And a few different inputs.
Yes.
And suddenly you're like down the rabbit hole. So it's an interesting thing to be aware of.
True.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. If you're kind of actively researching
A white supremacist.
yeah, you're constantly kind of resetting your algorithm.
Yeah, you watch different things pop up where you're like, huh. You're like, that's not in agreement with what I believe or think. But you're going like, oh.
That happened to me in January where I had to reset my algorithm on Instagram where it's like I had followed, I'm assuming it's either from several comedians I follow or some of these off-road accounts I follow. But all of a sudden I was just seeing like blatantly racist posts, which I didn't even think were on Instagram, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what happened? And it happened really quick.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to reset this.
How did you reset it?
You can reset your algorithm. You just go in, into your settings and it'll wipe your thing and reset your algorithm.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Like you should probably after every roll.
Go and reset.
Okay, let's talk about Superman.
Oh, yes.
Woo, am I excited that you're in Superman?
Me too.
Yeah.
All right.
That's so exciting.
Did you have to earn this one?
Did I have to audition?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did.
Because I'm assuming a lot of these you've been offered.
I auditioned for Superman. Auditioned for Superman.
Oh, did you?
And then James called me and was like, how about playing Lex Luthor? And I was like, yeah, okay, great. Which is interesting because I was like, when I first read the script, I talked to James and Peter a little bit, and then I read it and I was like, there was a little gut instinct where I was like, I might be a better Lex.
Oh, interesting.
While you were reading it.
Yeah, and then I was reading the Lex scenes and I was like, oh, this could be fun. And then kind of was like, oh no, don't get distracted. So then when he called me and said that, I was like,
Meant to be.
this makes more sense. So it worked out perfectly.
I just imagine the bad guy's going to have like 3 blockbuster scenes. Like the intro to the bad guy is going to be a great scene.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Have you've seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you have?
I have not seen it yet. Just seen a few little bits for doing ADR and stuff. And it looks epic. And I mean, the script that James wrote was fantastic.
We're having him on as well, so it's going to be a Superman week.
Oh, Superman week. It's finally here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Superman
He'll
week.
have you had him on before?
No.
Oh, great. You'll have fun with James. I think I messaged him on Instagram at some point and was like, hey, cool that you're the head of DC. If there's ever a role.
Saying hi.
Yeah, wow, you
I
put it
don't
up there.
usually slide into people's DMs,
Yeah.
but here I am.
Nice.
Oh, nice. You were proactively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't normally do that.
I've heard for some of these superhero movies, there's so much is being bet on it that they'll film your audition and actually show it at a theater and they'll show multiple viewers. Did that happen to you?
I think there were screenings of like and different versions of combinations of cast put together, and then they would screen them. And yeah, I mean, I don't
see how it plays.
You'd have to. I don't know if it was in front of an audience, or just like
Studio
other
or something.
DC and Warner Brothers people and whatever. James will probably be able to give you better answers.
Yeah.
Wow,
to that.
that's wild. How cool.
But yeah, they certainly, I guess, put people through the ringer a little bit.
Do you know who your competitors were?
Well, David, who got cast
Okay.
as Superman.
Congrats, David.
And I was so happy for him because genuinely, when I met him there, and it was funny. Superman gets his powers from the sun, and we were in one of these studios in LA, and I walked out from doing one of the scenes or whatever, and there was like mostly shadows from how the sun was setting, but then in one like patch of sunlight, David had taken a chair and sat down, and was just like enjoying the warmth of the sun. And I was like, God damn. And like,
He was born to play.
I was like, wow. I was like, look at this guy. He lives with it. And I met him, and he embodies everything that you'd hope for that character to be.
How's his physique?
Brilliant.
Gorgeous.
Brilliant. Gorgeous.
Did you guys live together?
We did a little bit. We did. Silly story. This is, I remember I was chatting to my wife one night. She was like, it's so nice to be held by someone bigger than you.
Yeah.
And she was like, you don't really get that, do you? And I was like, no, I guess I don't.
Yeah.
We were sitting there and she was like, yeah, no one's really big enough to hold you. And she was like, David could hold you. And I was like,
Why don't you ask him?
yeah, he probably could. I did.
You did.
Yeah. Yeah, he held me. And it felt warm and safe. But I felt the same thing when you held me, when you hugged me today.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's the strength I need. That's the support I need.
I was picked up like a baby by Shaquille O'Neal. And it was
Really?
one of the most fun feelings I've ever had, where he put his hands under my armpits and
No.
just lifted me up like a child.
Did you ask him to do this or?
No, I was walking into a premiere in Westwood, and
Yeah.
I was behind him, and I had never even met him. It was, again, one of these huge swings
Oh, God.
where I just go, excuse me, I like to be the tallest person at these things. You're going to have to leave, sir. I just
Yeah.
say that from behind him.
Yeah.
And he turns around, and then he did know who I was, thank God. And then he picked me up like a baby.
Did he kiss you on the cheek?
No, he didn't kiss me. I would have
Oh.
loved it if he
I
tickled
know.
me and kissed
It's a
me.
goo goo gaga.
Yeah, kissed my neck, smelled my head and told me I smell so good.
Oh my God.
It is a weird feeling. It's like, it's
Yeah.
nice to be like, oh yeah, I'm a little person again.
The coach of Detroit is insane. He was a player and he's enormous. He looks
Yeah.
like a water buffalo. He's
Right.
just like all traps. And I hugged him right before the game in the playoffs. And I was telling Monica, like, it was such a weird feeling to think like, oh, if Lions came into the arena, Dan's got it. Like that, I'm off the clock. Someone here is definitely in charge. It's not me. And
Right.
it was a very comforting feeling.
Yeah, you feel safe.
If all hell breaks loose, Dan is the one who's supposed to go deal with it.
And that's
not me.
genuinely what you were thinking at that time. You're like, if lions get into this arena
I
right
generally
now,
self-appoint
I'm safe.
myself the person that's going to have to fight the Lions.
Right. Oh, really?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, interesting.
As you should. You're tallest. That's your.
If
That's the burden.
if lions broke into the stadium,
Yeah.
I'd be like, we're all just running, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like,
See,
don't worry, guys, I'm gonna fight.
Okay,
them.
see, that's a different personality type.
That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go, I got all these rewards for being tall, and now
There's
here's the
70,000
price.
people there, and I go, I'm the one.
It's me.
That's what
I'm
you
the
should think.
one.
Also, we're saying Lions and the team.
I was
know,
about to
it's a little
say that
confusing.
Detroit Lions. You mean Lions, the animal, not when the team
the real
comes
li-
in.
That's right, the
real,
team is
the
in
real
no
lions
threat.
have escaped. I'd get on the PA system and be like, everyone, stay in your seats, watch this. I've got it. And then they just watch me get
Everybody,
torn,
Don't
get
worry.
your cameras
torn,
ready.
limb from limb and eaten. And I like, keep watching.
You're going to want to run video, not pictures. You're
I'm
going to
still
want.
pretending to be asleep.
Oh my
They can see my spleen being pulled out of my body. Sorry.
Like, is this some sort of art project?
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Do you think if you're on an airplane because you drive cars,
Yeah.
That
this is
if-
the thing about if you could land it.
yes, if the pilot has a seizure,
Right.
God forbid, and they say, "Who knows how to fly a plane?" Would you offer yourself up for
I
that?
saw this. This is like a fact that like 1 in 2 men think that they could,
Oh.
right? So I saw that, and I think my dad was a pilot.
Oh no!
So
So you definitely think you can?
So no, I think I probably more err on the reality of like I probably can't.
Oh, that's
I had one
nice.
flying lesson. It was really surprisingly difficult because I was like, I want to learn to fly.
Right.
I mean, surprisingly difficult, but like, you know, I'm competent in cars and bikes and things. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, there's so many more controls, even in the tiny little airplane where I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, and trimming and this and that.
And you're just staring at dials.
If they were like, hey, we need someone and there's no one.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, dude, can you call your dad?
Oh,
Can
true.
he tell you what to do? And I'll call him and be like, Dad, you're on Dad,
Papa.
you're on FaceTime. Which button do I push? What do I do? I like to
Okay.
think then that perhaps it would still be a disaster. Though. It'd still probably, I mean, because also if you got to try and hit the runway, right?
Daddy, I'm flying a commercial airliner.
This is BA flight 456. Go ahead. It's like, what are you doing?
Do you want to hear how arrogant I am? I'm more afraid of having to talk in that gibberish over the CB than I am actually landing the plane.
Right.
Like I can't say 7-9er cleared for, all that.
Well, I think if you're just like stepping into they don't expect you to do all the radio.
Sure.
Thank God.
Sure.
They're
No.
they're like, you are not cleared for landing. You have not done the code right.
To be clear, I don't think I can land one. Like, I just think I can land one. What I think is once we've asked, are there any pilots on board? And there aren't. I do think
You're the
I'm the
next
next
best bet.
best option.
Right.
If someone has to hear what to do and implement it, I think I'm a good pick.
Yeah. I can follow instructions. That's basically my job.
Yeah, but isn't it like very? I mean, I guess you guys are mechanical, but we decided that actually the best person would be the video gamer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true.
That they would actually be the best.
I don't
one.
trust.
Okay.
No, this is like sim guys who think they're fast on a track.
I trust the sim guy who's like landed planes on the sim, who's done like sim flying. I'd be like, well, at least
Sure.
you roughly.
That's a great point.
They should come over the town and be like, hey, we got any pilots? okay, have we got any guys who like to fly planes on video games?
Exactly.
None of those either. And Dax is like, pick me.
I guess
Well,
it's
if they have
me.
like a sheet they go through. Any pilot? No pilot.
Exactly.
Any gamers? No. Any model airplane hobbyist? Okay, back to Superman.
Oh, yeah.
James Gunn, one of his signature talents is like pairing these sequences with perfect songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm curious, are those pre-planned to the degree? Does he ever play the song that would be in the movie for you when you're doing a scene?
Oh, not specifically for this, but he did send me like a piece of the score before we started filming.
Ah.
So I had like this kind of part of the score that's for the kind of finale, I guess, of Lex's part of the story that I had for months before we started shooting, which was interesting. I realize now it's a slightly psychotic behavior, perhaps, but I got into like cold plunging as part of I'd say it was like part of the prep. I was trying to get strong and blah, blah, and all this. And I was reading all these things. And then I was like cold plunging. And I would like sit in the dark in this cold plunge listening to this music, like full blare on repeat over and over again. And then whilst we were filming that scene, James had that playing through the speakers on the set. I'd listened to it so many times thinking about that moment.
Yes.
In kind of a, like, I don't know, being in cold water is kind of
a torturous situation.
Yeah, somewhat. But then you're kind of mind over matter, whatever, blah, blah. You're kind of putting your body through some sort of wall.
Pain.
So there's a bit of that, and then being put into the filming scenario and having that same thing. It was interesting.
I think that's where it started for me. And I think it's for a lot of people can relate to this. Being a kid walking with my Walkman on,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm in a movie.
Imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Just
You're sitting on the bus and you got a sad song on, you're looking out the window.
Yes.
And you're like, you start really envisioning your own experience as a movie.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think it's so standard. I think everyone does it. Like my 12-year-old, she'll say to me all the time, she's kind of obsessed with this notion of the Truman Show.
Oh.
It's like, sometimes I think I'm in the Truman Show. And I go, I know, I used to think that all the time too.
I wonder if that's like a healthy, like in terms of how you're always meant to be able to like put yourself out of your experiences in some way to like understand it. I wonder if it's like a healthy thing to be able to be like, oh, if you imagine it like a movie.
Well, minimally, it's just interesting that this thing we've all probably, I think a lot of us have been doing for 100 years is only 100 years old. Like no one in 1850 could walk around hearing music and even imagining what a movie is like. And just what a weird space.
Yeah, but music's been around since the beginning of time.
You just couldn't listen to it while you were doing something.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't be scoring your own life. There was no Walkmans. You might walk by some guys tooting a trombone, ding, ding, ding. He studied trombone as a kid.
Oh, I don't remember that from last time.
I don't think he does either.
And you just pointed at me.
I know, like, I
Ding, ding, ding.
Xylophone.
I'm like, what?
Because it also kind of sounds like a sex thing.
Well, it is the rusty trombone.
But when you
right.
follow it with ding, ding, ding as well, makes it super sexual. I was like, oh, feel seen.
No, music, I feel like has always instigated memory or like your place in time. Even though we didn't have all these other layers on top of it, which now we do. But I think that was like the initial.
It's just interesting when you think of how like technology changes your brain. The famous one is that book, Weirdest People on the Planet. And
What's that?
It's this incredible book about how weird Westerners are. Weird stands for Western, educated, industrial,
Rich,
and
democratic.
And that like the process of learning to read, which is so new, really. I mean, until Martin Luther in 1492 or whatever, the literacy rate was like under 1%. And then he goes on this mission to teach everyone to read so they can read the Bible. And then within decades, the numbers are going up and up and up. So you get to like 9. Well, the cognitive action of reading rewires your brain. You lose certain things and you gain certain things. Okay. And so it's like, for everyone who read, their brains were structurally different. So they're like computing the world differently, all because of this technology that came out of book reading, this abstract thing we do. And then I just think like, and then movies are a thing. And then for the last 100 years, I think most people daydream of themselves in a movie or some movie version of their life.
Is it the same sort of daydreaming as when you daydream about a book? Like the movie that you play in your mind, is it still the same sort of daydreaming?
So I was just thinking that same thing as I was saying is like, were people reading Little Women and they were walking to the store and they're like, oh, I'm one of the Little Women.
so.
Yeah, maybe you put yourself in books.
I think more so with books. because you are at the center of a book. Like when you're reading, and it's whatever third person or first person, it's you. I mean, with like a mask on, obviously, but you're walking through the world. In a movie, there's some separation.
Yeah.
So I think with books, probably even more so, the imagination is
Yeah,
getting
people probably
fueled.
just thought of their lives as a novel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the star. I'm the lead character of this novel.
Which maybe is that where it comes all that lingo of like the end of this chapter, the beginning of the is that where it all comes from?
Maybe.
Right, just another chapter of your life. Okay, now let's talk about the people who have come before you. Gene Hackman
Yes.
as Lex Luthor, not just in general, everyone that's been born before
It's like, that's
1990.
going to take a while.
Yeah, Monica, get the list. Everyone born before 1990.
So,
Yeah, did you see that movie as a kid, or did you have to watch it as an adult in preparation for
I'd
this?
seen it as a kid, but I watched it as an adult again. I love Gene. I mean, what an actor.
Come on.
He's given some of the all-time performances. I was just watching Hoosiers again the other night.
No one gets angry like Gene Hackman.
He's the best. I mean, he's the best. You can't. And also, like, whilst we're one of my favorite films is Unforgiven, and Clint directed Gene in that. We screened it whilst we're filming during number 2. We rented out a theater and watched that
oh,
movie
cool.
on the big screen, and watching him in that again was just magical. So, all-time great.
Yeah. Okay, now shaving your head. Do you have any fear, and it's now compounded by this blonde thing, do you have any fear when you shave your head, like, I wonder how much it's going to grow back?
No, I'd shaved my head before for
Mad Max.
and it grew back.
I think we're back. And now you're dying. Every time I had to do this, I'm like, how much is going to come back?
Right, yeah. Well, I guess I'm more conscious of that now, yeah, where I'm like, ugh.
When they're putting all the chemicals.
I'm like, is this going to kill?
Yeah, all the
Am I going to have
pigment.
anything left?
Yeah, what are we going to be dealing
What
with
if it's
at the end of
permanent?
It's like the fear is actually settling in more now here,
it
talking to you
should.
guys. You can probably see the fear on my face more and more.
this?
That's what we do here, you know. We're
Yeah,
truth
when you have me on
tellers.
in another 2 years' time, you bring up another photo and you'll be like, remember when you had hair?
Remember that?
Remember
Look
that?
how
And I'll be
different
like,
we
and I'll
all
be
look.
like,
Remember your last hairdo?
yeah.
Oh my God, did you see Friendship?
No, what's this?
The Paul Rudd, Kate Mara,
Oh, I haven't
Tim
seen this.
Robinson.
Tim Robinson movie. It's
No.
like just now.
Do you watch
out.
I Think You Should Leave? That comedy show on Netflix.
It's like a sketch
No.
show. Oh, it's
No.
so
You're out to
funny.
lunch. Yeah,
Yeah, you
he's-
Sorry.
got to. It is
Okay.
so funny, so bizarre. He's a one of one
Yeah.
comedian. Anyway, they have a new movie, and Paul Rudd is wearing. I mean, it's a spoiler, I guess. A toupee,
Oh, yeah,
but you don't know until like towards the end of the movie it falls off. It's just like so wild and bonkers, and it's like falls off, and he looks crazy. And I did think, oh wow, so much of him is his hair.
Yeah.
Like it really is
yeah.
doing a lot we take for granted.
Building the pressure. Yeah, you're compounding there. I'm like, this is getting worse by the second.
But there's very few things you can feel bad for boys for. But
It's
this is one. It's like
true.
you're a boy and you're just like, wow, TikTok. When does this,
Well, for women too, it thins out
it thins out. Yeah. They don't have, women generally don't have male pattern baldness.
generally.
Yeah.
So you got to get rosemary oil. It's the thing, right?
Is that what it is?
Rubbing
Oh.
rosemary oil on?
I'll
you
do
should
that. I'm in a full-fledged battle to keep my hair.
I think that's something.
I have a topical I'm putting on
Oh, yeah?
night and evening.
It's probably just rosemary oil.
Yeah, twice a day. Oh, night.
Night and evening.
I do it at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. What's your emotional attachment to all of it in terms of like, I'm fearful it's not going to last forever, or you've been doing it for so fucking long, you do have the confidence it's going to last forever? Do you have that rumination? How many days off from a movie before you start panicking, or is that past?
No, there's still that like, ooh. And there's still very much like the thing of like, I'm like, I've got a lot to prove to myself, and I feel to people where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm just at the beginning of like, let's grind.
Yeah,
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
In a fun way. But also feel like I'm like, if you like after doing Nosferatu and The Order and Jura back to back, the end of that year I sat there on my birthday, and I don't always do this, but I sat around and I was just like contemplating. Like,
Yeah.
normally everything's happening so quick that I don't. And I sat there and I was like, this is kind of exactly where you wanted to be 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You could have said you worked with those 3 directors back to back. That's kind of prime what you wanted
Yeah.
career-wise. So great, like proud of that. But then also, where do you build on
Yeah.
that now? What's the next steps? I'm not putting my legs up, not because I'm a bad guest, but just because my legs started
Oh,
Oh,
to
yeah,
do
because
it,
you've been here for
Evan.
so long.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Way
my
too
knee
long.
is just so because it's
Oh, we should have
Sure.
propped it
Busted,
up
sorry.
earlier.
Do we need to rub your legs?
I've got my
First of all, let's get those
I've got my sleeve
Let's
on
get
and
those
everything.
cumbersome
Compression.
pants off you, first of all.
So you guys, I brought some ointment and oil with me.
Get you out of those
Maybe-
restrictive
thought maybe we
pants.
could
I've got
do
a plane to land.
Get the mic nice and close so people can listen.
Nicholas, I adore you.
I adore you.
I do hope we end up on a racetrack at some point.
We've got to. I haven't been on bikes for a while now, so I'm like.
Let's deal with your leg first.
Well, we'll do cars.
Now's probably not the time to be back on a bike.
Yeah,
For me,
I
should
would give
probably
yourself
take
a second.
Take it easy.
I'm happy in a car. Let's do
Yeah, yeah.
cars.
Yeah. Well, for Father's Day. You
Father's
gonna
Day.
track
Oh, yeah.
out?
Our Father's Day
Maybe we should do like a
motorsports.
lemons race or something.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Superman comes out
July 11th.
July 7-11.
7-11.
Can't be an accident. Everyone's
No.
like, we got to get that date, 7-11. Everyone knows 7-11.
That's right.
Yeah, July 11th. Everyone go see Superman, and I cannot wait to see How to Rob a Bank.
Thanks.
You plus David Leitch, what could be better? Come back again.
I will.
I sure hope there weren't any mistakes in that episode, but we'll find out when my mom, Mrs. Monica, comes in and tells us what was wrong.
So we're Zoomies today. We're Zoom recording.
Summertime Zooms.
And you are in Nashville. You made your way there.
I am. Do you want me to spin my camera around so you can see what looks out my window?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I'm doing a
Oh, it
bad
looks so
job
nice.
looking out my window. You can't even see. Can you
It's
see the
this-
lake? You can't even see.
I can't see the lake. I see a lot of trees.
Sure, that's good. Trees are good. Did you have to curb your good time last night so that you could wake up so early?
No, I did. I was out late last night, which was
wow.
unexpected. I don't really stay out late anymore.
No. You're this
I'm an
year you're
early
a
bird.
middle-aged woman.
How dare you? I'm still early. Actually, that reminds me that maybe it was on an Armchair Anonymous. I can't remember. I said something like, I look young. And you said, you were like, do you? And I don't know if you were just negging me, but we had a tiff about that. And then since then, I've been carded basically every single place I go.
Really? People think you're 20 or less.
So I went to Cookbook, which is a very cute grocery store here in Los Angeles. And I bought a bottle of wine. And the girl asked for my ID. And then she looked at it for a minute and then she gave it back. And like 30 seconds later, she looked at me and she said, "You look so young."
Oh, really?
And and she was kind of like mad. Like, I think maybe she thought it was a fake ID. Like, I don't know. She was like, "You look 20." And I
Okay.
said, "Oh, well, I'm at the age where I will take it." And I said, "How old are you?" And she said 25.
Oh, wow.
So she thought she was older than me.
Oh, wow. Let's go back to your night last night because you had a late one and I want to hear what was happening.
So it's in a couple days is our friend's birthday, Anna.
Oh, okay, great. How old is she turning?
Jesus is age 33. We went to Atwater. Atwater is a new place I've been going to a lot. McCall's is there.
Uh-huh.
Butcher that used to be down the street from us that moved to Atwater, which is the bane of my existence.
Heartbreaking for me. Yeah.
So sad.
Best ground beef in the city. Maybe 50% fat, I'm guessing. I mean, it's so fatty, which I love. You can't, at the grocery store, they're not going to push it beyond 20% fat. And I don't want to get sued by McCall's, but I will say I think they're in the high 50s. And you can taste it.
And they have like farmers market vegetables and fruits and sauces and treats. They have all kinds of things there. I love it there. Anyway, there's also all these cute stores on the street and little restaurants and bars. And so we went to this outdoor little restaurant and we hung out there. And then we went to another one.
Pub crawl?
I guess it turned into a little bit of a pub crawl. The second location I defined as rustic. That's
Okay.
a word I took from Cali,
Mhm.
which means kind of shitty.
Yeah, with charming shitty.
Right. But okay, so does everyone consider rustic that?
Yeah, rustic is definitely shitty but charming. Ye old rustic inn. You wouldn't name your
Right.
bar Ye old rustic inn, like ye old shithole. They're saying like, yeah,
Right.
it's a fucking dump, but hey, it's got some charm. You're going to have a good time here. Ye old rustic inn.
I thought rustic meant like woodsy. Like I have a very, I thought it meant like a cabin is rustic.
Yes,
But I thought rustic is like equivalent to a cabin. I didn't know it meant like charming shithole.
instead of saying it's a shithole, you go like, oh, it was rustic.
I know, but so it's a euphemism then.
Yeah, for dump, but implicit in that euphemism is it has to have some charm or it would just be a lie.
Right. But I didn't know that. So one time Callie and I went to a hotel and there were some problems with the hotel. It was a nice hotel, but there were like some issues with it. And she kept calling it rustic. And I thought it was very funny. And I also thought it was a total misuse of the word, but turns out I was wrong. I guess I owe her an apology.
No, you are right. She was making a great joke. If it's supposed to be nice and it's rustic, no. If it's a dump, but you find yourself very charmed by it and going, oh, I want to go back, even though it's kind of a dump, that's rustic. If a Four Seasons doesn't, the commode's not working in the Four Seasons, you can't say it's rustic. You go, oh, it was a fucking terrible Four Seasons. They need new management. Right? You clear now on rustic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have some questions about it, but I overall I get it more. Anyway, I was saying that place was rustic, but now I think I was using it correctly.
Yeah. Charming and not nice.
So we went to one rustic location quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really partake there. And then we went to dinner down the street. We didn't leave there until 10:10.
Oh, really? I don't know if that's terribly late, Monica, for a Saturday night. I'm going to open this door. Maybe that'll give me more bandwidth.
To me, felt really late because, I go to bed. I get in bed quite early. But it's a ding, 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 actually. We went to the restaurant called Spina, which came up for our really deep cut listeners in the Chris Pine episode. He brought up Spina. He said it was a really good restaurant, and it is.
Oh, was that the Italian place? And Rob went, and Rob was like, oh, yeah, it is dynamite.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm jealous. I want to go. I should have gone. So I'm going to suggest something here's my hunch. So we haven't seen each other in, let's see, what day did I leave? We're on Sunday. And I left on a Wednesday night after we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So
a week and a half.
Yeah, 9 days or so, or whatever, 10 days. My hunch is that my 10 days feels 4 times longer than your 10 days. Do you feel like the last 10 days off kind of blew by or no?
I do feel like it's moving too fast.
Yeah. And have you been panicked at all about that?
A little. I put an out of office on my email, which is a new thing I tried.
Uh-huh. How's that going?
It's only okay because I still check it.
I just like the idea that you have an office, that there's an office you're normally at that you're not at now. By the way, I'm going to email you just so I can experience the automatic reply.
I think today was the last. I think it ended today.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, but maybe I'll try it again.
Okay, so for my 10 days, I feel like it's been about a month and a half. In fact, just yesterday, I was saying to the girls, oh my God, guys, how long ago were we in Idaho? Which was technically 4 days ago, but it feels like 2 weeks ago.
Great. So what happened in Idaho?
So we drove up. We left. Kristen was in Vegas doing like a speaking engagement. And she was supposed to fly home Wednesday night, and then we were going to leave super early Thursday morning. But I decided, the girls were anxious. I was anxious. So we just left Wednesday. We drove the bus to Vegas to my father-in-law's. We have a dog with us. Now, Frank has joined the trip, right? Whiskey didn't make the cut. He's at home with Peggy, his girlfriend. That's fine. That's great for him because he's in love with Peggy. And Frank was a pretty good boy. No complaints there. I did get into a major traffic jam of right when I entered Nevada, if I'm remembering correctly. And we did about 2 hours at 11 p.m., just kind of sitting in the bus in traffic. Rough start, doesn't matter. Went to my father-in-law's house. We went inside. We slept for about 4 hours. I was completely ashamed of myself because we were on like a Murphy bed that my feet went off the end of. And it was quite warm in that office that we were sleeping in. And I really couldn't sleep. So I just ended up waking very early on Thursday morning and just got the bus ready and was ready to go. And I was ashamed of myself because I realized when Aaron and I were on our road trip after high school, I would have blown a donkey to have that bed in that room because we were living in the car. And I realized this is how spoiled and soft I've become, that I can't even sleep unless the temperature's right and my feet aren't hanging off the bed. Anyways, who cares?
Yeah.
Got on the road. Probably the best trip we've had in the bus. There were a single issue was the passenger window broke off from the contraption that holds it shut. So I was pulling over every few hours to re-duct tape it because we'd be driving down the highway and the window would just fly open. But that's light. That was no sweat. Got into Swan Valley, Idaho at a very reasonable time. I think 9:00 that night on Thursday. And then this year's trip was different because it was cold, which was shocking because we had just left Vegas where it was 115. And then it was like 60 degrees the first day, then 50, in June, kind of wild. But what was lovely.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yes. But what was lovely is I normally have to go whitewater rafting with the girls, which I've now done 4 or 5 times. And it's like an hour drive there. The trip, down the river is a couple hours and then it's an hour drive back. And I was so exhausted from our previous month of, nose of the grindstone. And so you couldn't really do many activities, which was such a blessing. So I took a nap every day, which was heaven.
Ooh.
I had my new electric dirt bike, my Stark, which is so amazing. I hadn't ridden it. So I would just zip around on my dirt bike and lots of time chit-chatting and just being social and hanging out. And it was just the most lovely, relaxing version of the trip. It was completely different. And everyone agreed. Everyone was like, oh, it's kind of drowsy and lazy version. But everyone there, it's in the ethos sometimes. No, the ether, where everyone that had come to the trip had also seemingly had the same month leading up to it. Like everyone I ran to was just like, oh my God, I barely made it to this trip. Everyone was napping. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
How was our best boy?
Oh, best boy was very exhausted. He's maybe who I'm referencing the most. He looked like he maybe just barely made it up there alive. But he was lovely.
Yeah, well, he's doing the Lord's work.
He is. He's out there doing the Lord's work. Have you ever participated in a silent disco?
No, but I know about them.
Okay. I'm going to out Will Speck. I think you're generally supposed to protect the anonymity of who's on that trip, but I'm going to out Will Speck, the director. Very sweet, hysterical, fun, flirty. He pined over so the way a silent disco works is everyone wears headphones and there's 3 channels on the headphones. And there's 3 different colors. So there's red, green, and blue. And you put playlists on each of those channels. And if you're dancing and you don't like the song, then you flick, but you're also like monitoring everyone else that's dancing. Because if you see people going extra hard and they're on red, you're like, oh, fuck, I got to get over to red. So Will Speck had pined over his playlist, I think for a month leading up to this silent disco. In the way Jess would, right? Like hoping everyone's going to love it. There's some song he wants to introduce everyone to. There's some new tracks. He's very hip to new tracks. And it was just so fucking fun. Those are so fun. And then when you walk out because we were dancing outside, it was cold, but we were dancing outside and you walk outside and there's just 30 people going berserk and it's dead quiet. All you hear is like footsteps on the
I know.
ground of people. It's
I
insanity.
feel like there's something about it that kind of like freaks me out.
I already guessed that for you it might be dicey.
I think it's a beautiful thing. God, I sound like such a curmudgeon because, I famously don't like dogs, and now I'm going to famously not like dancing, which is like two of the
Yeah.
things that every single person loves. But it is weird that you brought it up now because Jess and I were at a store yesterday and we were telling the guy that we were about to go to Atwater, and he asked us if we had ever been to this one bar. I guess it's a bar. And I said no. And he said, well, it's awesome because there's a huge dance floor and like people are dancing. And Jess is like, oh, yes, like I want to do that. I really want to go there. And I kept my mouth shut, but I was like, I'm not going.
Yeah. This is, I
dance.
understand. But what if it was
It's
the
an
pot?
old wound. It's an old wound.
It's an old one, but it's two different things. I think you're thinking of just dancing with strangers, which is one thing. Now imagine our pod has a dance party at Amy's birthday party. That's a different experience.
Yeah, it is. And I am happy to dance with people I love, but I still, although, God, I used to booty bump, but
Yeah.
booty bump was different. I actually think this is kind of like my, my stance that holding hands is actually more intimate than anal.
Yeah, that's on your headstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of similar where I feel like regular dancing
Yeah.
is more vulnerable than booty bumping because everyone knows how to do that. Like it's easy and it's kind of crass. There's no vulnerability in it.
Yes, you've got a persona going, booty bump MLP.
Yeah, that's me. That's my rap name.
Really quick. You could host one of these silent discos in a nursing home at night and no one would wake up. That's what's so funny about it. But the highlight for me was both my girls danced for 4 hours, right? So like 1 a.m.
Oh, fun.
Both my girls can dance, which I love. And I danced with them so much. And at the end of the night, I just thought, oh God, I hit the lottery. I have 2 kids that love to dance like I do. And as a family, we're a dancing family.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was just so sweet. Lincoln in particular, not a shocker because we're so similar. You just couldn't I gave up. I wanted to go back and go to sleep at one point, and Lincoln wanted to keep going hard. And yeah, it just tickled me to no end.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of this, I feel like it's obviously the reason that I find it sort of uncomfortable. Well, I did not grow up in a dancing family, so that's part of it. But also, I don't like attention. I don't like people looking at me.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Let's take a minute to thank our presenting sponsor, Audible. With Audible, the leading audio entertainment app, it's easy to discover new stories and ideas while going about your day.
Yeah, and with over 1 million audiobooks, Audible originals, and more, it's basically impossible to run out of things to listen to. Plus, there's just something about audio storytelling that hits a little different.
Yeah, it really does. Especially Audible originals that feature performances from celebrities and top voices. It's like watching a movie in your head. One on my list is Treasure Island. Which is an Audible original drama. It's a timeless tale of pirates, lost treasure, maps, and mutiny. What more could you need?
That sounds really fun. I'm more of a psychological thriller girl myself.
Yeah, you're dark.
Yeah, I'm dark and I'm broody. And I've been hearing all about the author Frida McFadden. And I love that I can listen to her audiobooks on the Audible app when I'm commuting, taking my walks, as you know, or just like doing laundry and chores.
Well, with Audible, you can find the genres you love and discover new ones. There's more to imagine when you listen. And to make it even better, Audible has a special offer for armcharies. Sign up for a free 30-day Audible trial, and your first audiobook is free. Visit audible.com/Dax. That's audible.com/Dax.
Ironically, it's so strange, whatever. But this reminds me, I want to talk about something because we haven't done a fact check since our Brad Pitt episode came out.
Oh, yes. First of all, did you see it opened at $140 million?
I didn't. That's awesome. Wow.
Makes
Good
me
job.
so happy.
So the episode came out. A lot of people said they really liked it, which is super fun. Obviously, it was fun for us to release that and give that to the armcharies. I did not anticipate, and I guess very dumb of me, but I just wasn't I just didn't think about this, that this would take on a life of its own. And there were so many headlines about the episode. Well, specifically saying that he talked about his divorce, which he did not talk about his divorce. And it was really making me feel crazy. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, no wonder people of that level like don't do interviews and don't do things because people just make up lies.
Oh, yeah. Headlines
When there's
we're saying that we discussed that and we didn't. Yeah. And I thought the same thing. I was like, he probably can't answer a question like what his favorite hamburger is without them extrapolating what they want him to talk about.
Yes. If he says he likes In-N-Out, it's like, well, because Angelina notoriously likes McDonald's.
Right.
He has they didn't get along about that and they got a divorce. Like it's so wild. And what I will say, I respect him so much because even though I was shocked, I know he wasn't shocked. He's like, this is what happens. This is what happens every time. This is my life. And we do have people who come on who are very concerned about what will be said, you know, after the fact of the conversation, who often like, it won't be talked about, you know? And this man is definitely going to get talked about. And he didn't tell us anything. He didn't tell us to cut out anything. He was so chill. He was like, you guys do your thing. It's your show.
Yeah. He didn't care at all. Like yeah.
There's a lot of behind the scenes talking to people's publicists and dealing with a bunch of stuff. And there was none of that with the most high profile guest we've ever had on. And I not only did I appreciate it, it made me, I was like, God, he just like, he just knows, he knows what's going to happen. And he just decides, I guess, like, oh, well,
I think he
like has a calmness about it.
I think he has full acceptance of what his life is, which we did kind of talk about, which is like, I think you fight it for a long time and it makes you uncomfortable. And at some point you go, oh, I'm going to drive myself bananas or I just have to not give a fuck anymore. And it seems like he is at that point. Yeah.
I know. I think it's awesome. But what I wanted to say is, so yeah, there were all these headlines, all these things, which were like making me feel like I already was like, I don't like that. And I even had like our publicists tell one of the magazines to tell them, and they did remove the headline, which I thought was nice. But then I saw it 100 other places and I was like, oh my God, well, this is too much. But then I was listening to a podcast that I listen to, a pop culture podcast. It's in my rotation. I enjoy it. I found it a couple months ago. And they start talking about the episode. And as soon as it started to come up, I like got like sweaty. I got so anxious about what they were going to say. And it was so interesting because this podcast has like a host and then guest hosts every week. And it was interesting because she started off by saying, I've never listened to the show before, have you? And then the guest said, unfortunately, yes. And I was like, oh no, oh my God. Of course, I feel defensive. My feelings are hurt. And then they proceed to talk about the episode for a while. What's so funny to me is pretty much absolutely everything they're saying is positive.
Uh-huh.
Except they then, because of that, because I think overall they liked it, they had to just insert jabs. But just to say, I don't really like the show, but, or I don't like them.
They never elaborated on what their issue with the show was.
We're obnoxious.
Oh, we're obnoxious.
Yeah.
But not what version of we are obnoxious, but what version of obnoxious are we? They didn't specify.
They didn't say.
Oh, okay.
But they just were saying like, I don't know. It was just very interesting because I did think, oh, you can't just say you liked it. You have to say something negative. And I think people feel like if they're just positive or kind or whatever, then they're like dumb. Like I worry that that's where we live right now. We're like, if you are only saying positive things, they're not critical. They're worried that like they're not critical thinkers. This was like a podcast I put on to go to bed. Big mistake. I'm now up for like an hour and a half just laying there, kind of spiraling about this. And I DM'd the host. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it, but it didn't make me feel the way I thought it was going to make me feel.
How did you think it was going to make you feel?
I thought it was going to make me really feel like, what's the word? Not like I caught you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't really do that. I mean, I did feel, and I do feel that it's, you don't know who's listening ever to your show, to your to whatever you're doing, whatever you're putting out there. And I think it's important when you're speaking openly and when you have platforms that you do consider that. Like, is this something you would say if that person heard it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's literally what you learn in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like,
if you wouldn't say it to their face, don't say it at all.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just said, hi, I listen to your show. I like your show. It was wild to hear our interview come up. I wish I could unhear some of those things, but overall, like, thank you for listening, whatever. And then she responded very nicely. Yeah, that was that.
You said it's a pop culture podcast, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, like, pop culture, anything pop culture means gossip. And I'm not shitting on gossip overall because I think gossip in general gets a very negative kind of, it's a pejorative in a way. But I mean, there is a huge utility to gossip. We've talked about it. Like when you're in a tribe of 100 people and you're gossiping about the leader who's, mistreating people, it's how we regulate. So I don't think it's, it's not useless or should never be done. But I don't think the ethos or edict of culture today is to be negative, but gossip is inherently catty. You can't just bring up, you have to say her shoes didn't match her outfit. You might be in love with her and worshiping her, but like gossip, the nature of it is like, and now I'm going to say something shitty because that's what gossip is. In my mind, I'm taking full responsibility for this. My hunch is that if she didn't like the show, it wasn't because of you, it was probably because of me. Or at least in my mind, I'm taking all the responsibility for that. I'm relieving you of any responsibility for
that's not how I look at it.
Obnoxious factor.
whatever. I said that. It made me, I felt kind of good for like 14 seconds and then that was over. And then I thought, oh, I guess I just feel really like exposed.
Sure.
Like we put something out that a lot of people saw and heard and have an opinion on now.
Yeah.
And it felt scary. Like it felt very like, I guess, out of control. You know, I love our listeners so much. So I guess I'm like putting them in their own category, like our consistent listeners.
Yeah.
But it did make me think like, oh, I really like this job for the job itself. I really am not in it for us putting it out. Like I don't like that part, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That part's scary. And even when people are being positive, it's still like, oh, but they like heard it. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, it's inherently vulnerable to go, okay, everyone, go ahead and listen. I mean, that's just, I think.
Yeah, because I protect myself so much from it. I don't look at comments. But this was, it just, I think that was it. It's like I'm very active about not taking in any of that. I know it's out there, but it doesn't exist if I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
But this just like landed. I couldn't even help it. It's something that I listened to on my own.
Yes.
And it found me.
Yeah.
And it was really strange.
But you were just admiring Pitt, right?
I know. I aspire to be like him.
Yeah, so weirdly, maybe the universe put this whole thing, right? Like it's an extreme example. Like this guy has to deal with the whole country that read those headlines thinks he was talking about that. It wasn't. And somehow he's just like, yeah, and what can I do? And I'm still going to be me and be radical in movies and look sweet, driving race cars and whatever, because I want to do that.
Be so hot.
You know, I was even thinking while we were just talking, I'm almost tempted to start rubbing my head like this because it was so cute the way he would circle his shaved head.
He did touch his head a lot. I also thought it was so cute and hot.
So cute and hot. And a lot of people in the comments thought it was like someone said every time he rubbed his head and there was like fire signs. And it's like his power is, he's so powerful. Like just rubbing his head.
Really
we're like, oh my God. Like, I don't even know what we want. Like him to rub our head that way or just he's being sensual with his own body and we want to rub his head like that.
I think it's more like, well, I couldn't get away with that. He's doing something people can't get away with.
Yeah, the shaved head. Let's start with a shaved head. So few dudes can pull that off.
I think some good takeaways were that I did realize that I like the process of it more than the result, which I think is important.
Yeah, and healthy. It'd be bad if it was reversed. If you're like, well, I hate this, but I love the reaction.
Exactly. Yes. And it made me feel this is not to sound like self-righteous because it just happens to be what we've decided to do on this show. But I'm happy that our show isn't about that, isn't about breaking things down and tearing, having to say something negative. Like, I'm glad it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so.
It was great. I loved it. It's all directly proportional to the attention. So it's like, I'm delighted so many people listen to our show. And yeah, a big handful of them were mad he was on our show. But it's just all like, it's a 1-to-1. You bring in more folks and then you get more voices. And I guess it's worth it to me, I agree. I was mad about headlines. I was just feeling very protective of him, which is hysterical. Like he needs me to look out for him.
Well, I felt that too.
Yeah.
It's just about the principle. It's not about him specifically. Yeah. Well, let's do some facts.
Oh, I love facts. Let's do some.
Superman.
Oh, this is incredible because last night I went to the movies.
Oh.
And we saw the trailer for the first time in the cinema for Superman.
And did it look so fun?
It looks awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'm a little mad we had Superman week.
Why?
And we didn't get to see the movie.
Oh.
Like we got to see F1.
I know, but you're being greedy.
I am. Yeah. But if they do a whole week, I feel obligated to have seen the movie.
Yeah.
And I just want to.
I really want to.
It's crazy he's so hot with a bald head.
He's so hot. Yeah.
What a dick.
No.
Any guy who can just
he's
shave.
such a nice guy.
I know.
That's why it's like.
But anyone who can just shave their head out of nowhere and still be hot, it's.
Remember the first time he came on and he told that hilarious story about when he was dating Jennifer Lawrence and he got food poisoning while she had booked the Silver Linings Playbook and was like in the other room talking to Bradley and while he was like puking and sweating.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
It's
that.
such a good story. Oh, cutie pie.
I was thinking when we had him on, because of course it popped up that he had dated her. It's in his Wikipedia.
Sure.
And then I thought, what's going on with Jennifer Lawrence?
She's married. She has a kid.
But was she acting?
Yeah, she was just at Cannes.
She was.
Yeah,
She took a break, right?
Well, I think kids.
She was in every movie.
Yeah.
And she's so incredible.
Oh, she's so good. Yeah, she has a new movie that premiered at Cannes that a lot of people are talking about. So I'm sure she'll be in the circuit for the awards.
We'll get her on, Monica.
Come on, Jen.
Do you think I can text Nicholas, who doesn't text me back, to text her?
I think
his ex-girlfriend.
I think you should probably not.
Yeah, that's probably a better way in.
Okay, some facts. What years was Nicholas nominated for the Golden Globes? He thinks the first year was COVID, and the next year was the boycotted year. 2021 nominee, Best Performance by an Actor in a TV Series, Musical, Comedy. Right. 2022, same thing. He was right.
He really got screwed on both occasions.
Wow. Poor guy. How did Peter III of Russia die in real life? Peter III of Russia died at 34 under mysterious circumstances. Some say he was assassinated while behind bars. Some say he was assassinated, but not behind bars. Others say it was suicide. Regardless, most believe Catherine was behind it. Of course they think that.
Good for her.
The official cause of death was a severe attack of hemorrhoidal colic.
That sounds like it's combining hemorrhoids and cholera.
Yeah, but colic, you know colic.
When you're a baby, you get that.
Yeah.
He was a baby?
He Benjamin Buttoned and became a baby.
Okay.
But
what could
it
be
didn't
worse
go
of
well.
dying from diarrhea while you have hemorrhoids? That sounds like a uniquely
No, colic
twisted.
isn't diarrhea.
It's not. It's just gas pains.
No, it's like basically agitation. Like they're just crying nonstop.
But I think it's
Is it gastrointestinal?
Yeah, I do think it's GI derived.
Really? Let me look. Okay, characterized by excessive, inconsolable crying in a healthy infant. Often defined by the rule of 3, crying for more than 3 hours a day for more than 3 days a week and more than 3 weeks. While the exact cause remains unknown, it is a common condition that usually resolves on its own by 3 to 4 months of age.
After they cry themselves out.
Oh, it says symptoms, okay? Clenched fist and curled up legs.
Okay.
Oh, these poor babies. Reddening of the face, probably because of the crying.
Yeah.
Tense, bloated belly. But I think that's because of the crying.
Wait, crying makes your belly bloated?
Yeah.
I think GI stuff makes your belly bloated.
Okay. Passing gas or having a bowel movement might offer temporary relief. All right, fine. You might
feel like
be right.
It's related to
but
your...
nobody's saying that.
I just know that I was colicky. I couldn't have anything, which is why we went from formula to Karo syrup.
Right.
Somehow that was related to my colickiness.
Sure. I mean, because that made you not cry all the time.
But maybe because I wasn't having an upset stomach.
But don't you think that would really make you have an upset stomach?
Karo syrup?
Yes.
No, I think you can't possibly get an upset stomach from Karo syrup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like inert. It's just calories.
But it's sugar. Sugar isn't good for you.
No, but if you beat his butt cherry red. I think my dad was beating my butt cherry red.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he lost it. I know. I was just saying good things about him, but he did.
He spanked you?
Yeah, we would get into power struggles.
Not when you were a baby.
When I was a baby, yeah. I would jump off. This was where my mother would have to intervene. I would jump off the deck.
How old were
at
you?
Our house, 2. And it was a really tall deck, and he kept telling me not to.
Yeah, you can't. You break your legs.
He'd spank me, and then he'd put me down, and I would look at him, according to my mother. This is my memory.
Yeah.
And I would say, don't you pank me.
Oh.
And then I would run. I'd look at him and run and jump directly off right after he spanked me.
Dax.
And then he would grab me and spank me.
Yeah.
And he'd put me down and I'd say, don't you pank me. And my mom would have to intervene because this cycle would
insane.
go on forever. Like I would not, and he wouldn't quit. It started at 2. We were locked in that battle. I don't know what he's supposed to do. I mean, I would
What?
just been like, go
Yeah.
break your leg. That's better than me beating
That is
you.
not true.
Me beating you?
Was it like, it's probably like that.
No, my mom
I
would.
mean, not to defend.
No.
Now you're
My
making me
mom
defend
would. My mom will say she did it. It would
didn't
go
like
too
it.
far.
Well, yeah, because you're making him go nuts.
Yeah, the 2-year-old's making the adult.
That I find, look, I do.
I understand. I'm sympathetic to what
Yeah,
he did. I don't think
yeah.
it's the right way. I think we can
No.
both agree that's
Yes.
not the right
No.
way.
You can't beat your children.
And when you recognize your kid, it's
Yeah.
on you as an adult. When
Yeah.
you recognize your kid will die in the fire, you can't then push them in the fire.
But you also, but that's the opposite. In his head, he's like, this kid is going to die.
No, he's like, I got to break this kid.
Are you sure? He was probably scared, Dax, that you were
He
going to hurt
was.
yourself.
He was definitely afraid for my safety.
Yeah.
There's no question.
And he felt out of control.
Yes.
'Cause-
And so he decided to spank
Yeah, it's
spanked
bad.
me
That's
a
bad.
lot.
That's bad.
And he, as the adult, should have seen, oh, this kid won't quit. One of us has to quit in this scenario.
Right.
He's not going to. Every time I spank him beyond the pale, he then looks at me and jumps off.
But do you think you jumped off regardless of the spanks? Like, what was
Well,
he
no,
to
now
do?
I was in a power struggle with him.
Right.
And I was saying, don't spank me. I'm going to keep doing this. And I kept doing this. And as the adult, you'd have to go, okay, so he's never going to stop. Am I going to stop or am I going to spank him for the next 3 hours?
Right. Or
And that was on him at that point. Now, mind you, he was only 24 years old.
Yes, and of course spanking is bad. That's like obvious.
Yeah.
So let's take that off the table, but I do understand the instinct of how do we oh God.
Stop him from hurting himself.
Yeah. He should have tied you down.
When you're in a power struggle with somebody and you fully acknowledge they're never going to quit
That's right.
and you're smarter and an adult,
Yes.
you got to be the
You
one
have
to quit.
to leave.
Yeah.
That's a boundary. They're not going to stop. You have to leave. But he is your dad and you are too. So this
Yeah.
gets more complicated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, colic. Yeah, so he died of that. When did Nicholas do Rebel in the Rye? Year and age. 2017 when he was 27. But filming started the year prior, so he was 26 or 26.
9 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, what is the Bhagavad Gita quote that he referred to? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have the right to work, but for the work's sake only. You have no right to the fruits of work. Desire for the fruits of work must never be your motive in working. Never give way to laziness either. Okay, extended version. Perform every action with your heart fixed on the Supreme Lord. Renounce attachment to the fruits. Be even-tempered in success and failure, for it is the evenness of temper which is meant by yoga. That's kind of what we were just talking about. Work done with anxiety about results is far inferior to work done without such anxiety. In the calm of self-surrender, seek refuge in the knowledge of Brahma. They who work selfishly for results are miserable. That's basically the Hindu Bible. It's the closest thing to it. They don't have one, but that's the religious
And
text.
it's a long conversation between two people.
Did Nicolas Cage get Patricia Arquette a black orchid and autograph from JD Salinger as a condition for marriage?
Oh my God, great.
Patricia said in an interview with The New Yorker during severance interviews that she met Cage in an LA deli, but wouldn't go out with him unless he obtained unattainable objects for her. After the list was completed, she was supposed to marry him. He started getting close to finishing the list before they even went on a date. The list included a Salinger autograph, which he got. It also included a black orchid from the jungles of Peru or Brazil. He completed this task, but it was actually a spray-painted orchid.
He cheated a little bit. I'm glad this isn't completely
Yeah.
made up in my mind.
Yeah.
Great. I want to know if we ever interview him, we got to find out how he got Salinger's autograph.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think he has some
Psychosexual.
no, some masochistic qualities? Because that's kind of masochistic. It's like, go get these things
Oh,
for
sub?
me. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'll ask.
Okay, ask him that. Are you a sub?
How rare is a black orchid? Black orchids are unique because in nature, plants rarely bloom in black. True black orchid flowers do not exist in nature. Black orchids were created by geneticists by crossing 3 species of orchid. They are also not truly black. They have maroon, dark purple, and blue pigments.
Ooh.
Does rosemary oil help with hair growth? Rosemary oil is believed to encourage hair regrowth like Rogaine does and to prevent hair loss. It contains compounds that may have antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties, support wound healing, promote nerve growth, and improve circulation.
All right, give me
More
a jug of
research
it.
is needed to confirm this.
Okay. I'll take a jug of it.
Oh, yeah, you could try it.
Yeah. Add it to my 70-minute routine at night.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Nicholas Hoult.
We love him. I can't wait for the next round.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
charmed
time.
every time. Butterflies every time. All
Bye.
Love you.